Crosscast. It is now 8:04 p.m. on the 14th of February. Happy Valentine's to all of you non-single folks out there. Must be nice. And welcome to, I think, what will be episode 124 or 125 of the Anatomy Crosscast. We already did our behind the scenes bit where we had Benny, Josiah, and Zeph all ask us three more personal questions about me as a person, where I live without doxing me, and about, more casual favorites that make Sean Cross who I am without disclosing my legal last name, because my legal last name is not Cross, but that's okay. Welcome to the show, everyone. It's awesome to be here. It's awesome to be hosting our second ever Arizona local artist. This is a MySpace Revival deathcore band based right in the heart of Phoenix. One of the most dreary, one of the most desolate, and almost mortar-esque downtown cities in the United States, in my experience so far. You can go to the top of Las Mountain over in Northeast Mesa, look off in the distance and see the bellowing smog cloud over Phoenix. And I'm like, one cannot simply walk over to Phoenix. They need at least 3 days journey on foot, let alone 2-hour drive. Like, that's Phoenix, man. But the thing is, too, when you go over to Queen Creek and you are on Ironwood specifically, and you're about to head over to the 60 to then venture westward over to Phoenix, we also got Four Peaks, which I think is more of an on-brand Mordor here in Arizona, because it's tucked in between one of the state's most infamous mountain ranges, supernaturally charged mountain ranges, that being the Superstitions, and it is tucked in between Superstition and Usury. And once you finally descend, well, that's Four Peaks. That is the Four Peaks Valley, which I have every intention of conquering through intermediate and or advanced level hiking by the time me and my crew, me and my cast, the people I live with, plan to finally depart from Arizona and leave behind a lasting, miserable, hot, conventional oven baked legacy. But these guys are from Phoenix, right? I don't know like where I was going with that, but just trying to paint a picture of what it's like here in Arizona. Winter is ended, unfortunately, unless it rains again, and then it might get cold for a couple more days. Other than that, we're climbing back into the 80s. So now it's already the time to bring back vacation shirts and sleeveless shirts underneath. Gotta DIY that shit sometimes. But we love to have AZ local talent on here. We wanted to get the word alive, but they ironically relocated to Nashville. Now they're a Nashville band. So until we can go over to Tennessee, we want to scoop up and speak for, lore keep, archive for, tell the history of as many AZ local bands as possible. And we continue that legacy tonight with In Faith and Misery. Again, a new generation MySpace deathcore band, or MySpace Revival deathcore band. Welcome to the show, guys. Once again, how are we doing? How are we feeling after the BTS segment?
Good. Good.
Fantastic. Well, as we descend into the people segment of the Anatomy Crosscast, let's go ahead and start with a 10 to 20 minute segment with the order that we already decided in the BTS part, starting with Benny, sir. Go ahead and once again disclose your name. That way, audio only listeners can attach a voice to a name. Tell us your role in the band and give us an elementary level introduction of who you are as a musician and maybe a fun fact about yourself. And we'll continue along.
Wait, so once again, my name is Benny. I'm the second vocalist of In Faith and Misery. And to be honest, I just really liked, ever since I was young, I always liked sound, always liked music. And then once I found out, like, I say maybe when I was like in my kindergarten years, I had my older sister and all her friends would be listening to like a lot of the like emo stuff, a lot of like hardcore stuff from back then. So that's what really got me into it. And I just like a lot of music. And then really about it, I just really active, like to do a lot of cool stuff. Just have some fun.
Oh, yeah. What would you say is a fun fact about yourself, sir? Something that people would call ball knowledge, or at least ball knowledge later in time.
Oh, a little fun fact. I like to climb a lot of trees, climb a lot of mountains, cook some steaks in the mountains with my friends. I just like to do a lot of random like parkour. I like climbing stuff too. Stay active. Just do a lot of random stuff if I can.
Yeah, man. So you like to be outdoors, and I think that could be very applicable to a future dark matter experience as we plan to have one of our first investigations be up on the Mogiam Rim to not intentionally conjure, but entice and interest the attention and audience of the one skinwalker that is up there currently on the rim that I have run into now twice, as well as a female elder
Not
squatch.
beat up myself, I mean, that was good.
He says, I'm not afraid. I'm like, I am.
Bro,
No,
he's
trust me.
literally out random.
He'll see me first and he'll get scared. He'll be like, "Oh, get that ugly thing away from me."
It's the real skinwalker. We already got him. Crazy. You want to mess with him.
Benny the skinny. I love it. All right, Josiah, you are up next, sir.
Yeah, I'm Josiah. I do the guitar. My part of the band, I guess I just do whatever these two think sounds cool for real. Like I write whatever. She really wanted originally we were supposed to be like full blown like crapcore, like playing crapcore, like the whole shindig, EDM and everything. Even though we got something in the works with that, that's like mainly what this project was originated. But then it kind of branched off because I listen to a lot of different music and I listen to more heavier stuff. She listens to more softer stuff, but we kind of have a middle ground and stuff. That I mean, she's wearing a Suicide Silence shirt right now, so we like some of the same things. So it kind of ended up, meeting into some middle grounds. And then once we had Benny on originally for a feature, like it wasn't even supposed to be like he was a part of the band thing, but like once we kind of all were like, dang, we kind of like his sound, and then like we like your sound, like the other type of stuff you do, like because we kind of have two different sounds. People say we genre like swap a lot because the first song of our album starts off slammy, and then we go into like more deathcore, and then it kind of breaks down to like a hardcore, deathcore like interlude track, and then it gets into more like her type of music, like the
Oh
metalcore.
shit.
So then it ends off with like I guess back to the deathcore stuff because we just kind of had a lot of music, so we ended up doing the deathcore cover and a lot of the Carnifex cover, and then another death song. But we kind of just met some middle grounds and kind of just made the band into a big musical project. It's not really like a deathcore band or a metalcore band or a crowdcore band. It's just like
We're a musical band.
we were just a musical band, bro. And we had a little hard style thing out for a second. That was fun because I like to make a little music that's not deathcore all the time, and we didn't want to be stuck in one genre because if we play live shows, we always like to entertain people, So if we had like different music and we brought like just more to than your average artist, 'cause, most bands will they'll just come through, play their heaviest songs, and they did. We want to get a little more creative with our heaviest songs and then have our heaviest songs actually be some like memorable, catchy song instead of be like, I remember one breakdown from that one band. That was kind of fire.
Bring that engagement.
Exactly.
Make them want to.
Yeah.
Exactly. Stuff like that. So
Yeah.
that's my big thing with, coming to this project, and it is what it is right now. So it's
Right. Hell yeah. And the thing is too, what I really respect, admire, and appreciate about what you're telling me right now is that very similar to my own band project, Blind Without Our Failures, right? You got these bands with the longer names. There's something more to them, right? There's always something more to them. In the past, it was bands like Bring Me the Horizon that went from MySpace deathcore and being one of the fucking figureheads of that to now becoming one of the world's most successful metal, alternative, rock, death pop. I've heard that name being thrown around a lot. I think it makes sense. Um, you got bands like Bring Me the Horizon that have been doing variety and utilizing variety in their discography. That way they attract more listeners. But then, specifically, up until I listened to the album, I can't confirm the context of this, but I have a feeling that once I finally sit down and listen to Rotten Faith, as I utilize the context of the Under the Skin session either tonight or a separate date before I go into a release, I have a feeling that I'm going to be reminded of Make Them Suffer's Never Bloom and similar records from the past that did genre bend the exact same way that you guys are talking about wanting to do. When you have an individual, a vocalist who listens to Loki, Tyler the Creator, and softer stuff, but then she wants to get involved in a revival MySpace deathcore band because that's just the vibe you guys give me. I'm not sure if you guys can confirm the context of that, but like the logo, the covers, the names. It just gives MySpace, right?
Yeah,
So
they were mostly like deathcore bands. Like our upcoming gig right now is with Katie Whit Missing, and then In Which Divides Us show, and then an ambulance.
yeah.
And we're supposed to be on a Cypher Grim show, so it's all like deathcore. So right now we're a little deathcore band, but in the long term,
Right.
broaden that a little bit more out with more music.
For sure. And when deathcore becomes stale, I think that's where bands like Silent Planet really made their stand in the scene. And specifically, I mean, with their interlude tracks, their opening tracks, and their outro tracks that were more instrumentals than anything else. Not only that, but they were instrumentals occasionally with spoken word bits that made reference to their prior work. When you have music like that ingested, possibly jammed or battery rammed into the next release that you're wanting to do, that I think is the first step in really separating yourself and distinguishing yourself from other bands in the community. Josiah, what would you say is a fun fact about yourself?
I'm kind of a straightforward dude. I'm not even gonna lie. I chill at home. I hang out with my girl most of the time. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
music. I do. I guess the other fun fact is I do a lot of other stuff than just like write metal. I love to like just produce music. I want to get into sound engineering. I'm just broke. I'm so broke. Like in the future, one day, hopefully, that's a big thing I want to dabble into. I used to skate a little bit. I was kind of ass. I was more of a flat ground dude, flat ground trick even, and then never anything else. But yeah,
That
honestly,
happens sometimes.
I'm like genuinely so straightforward. I chill, write music. Uh, I'm into conspiracy theories, I guess.
Hey, there we go. There we go.
Yeah, people she thinks I'm bored. But yeah, that's been something I've been dabbling in. So I kind of dabble around into things whenever something catches my mind. I play Roblox with my
Oh
girl.
no.
Busy on Aftermath. Me and her, we hop on that game. It's like Daisy or kind of like a PvPvE like extraction game. Me and her like to role play in that game a little bit. It's so
Hell yeah, dude.
that's honestly I like. I just
Tell
chill.
you what, if because me and you both seem to be equally modest this way, we're like, I don't know fun facts about myself. Shit. What is then some quote to to quote newer generations and newer young folk? What is some elite ball knowledge that only your friends know about you, or maybe a funny story that you could tell us without, disclosing too much personal information? Because I don't want to dox you on the show. That's not the Anatomy Crosscast goal.
Um, if you know me by beach stuff, you've known me for a long time. You said if you know me by that, you've known me for a long time. But
Okay.
that's really it. That's the only bond I guess I have.
All
Or
right.
yeah, that's really it. Well, what do you have to say? No, you don't have anything. That's really it. Right? But no,
Okay.
at this point, I just oh my bad, but I just chill at home. I've been focusing, on planning to I guess get my CDL bro and focus on doing bigger things
Hey, there we go.
you did, and then setting myself for a better position so then in Faith and Misery could have a crazy run one year. And people really be like, damn, wait, check our old archives, check everything, and be like, holy.
Yeah. Well, chances are too. I think that is indeed a fun fact that you want to invest yourself into a CDL of some nature. Because I'm actually planning to do the exact same thing. That way, I have more than enough of a financial backbone to, like yourself, invest into my creative mediums and possibly even have more stories to tell whilst I'm out on the road traveling across the country. So I think that that's fun enough of a fact, even if it's not set in stone yet. You have ambitions and you have an idea of what you want in Faith and Misery, let alone your other creations and their financial backbone. You have a very ambitious goal of how you want to give them all a financial spine, and that's very admirable. Zeph, ma'am, you are next.
Um, Death, and I grew up on music. Honestly, my parents were both musically sound, so I guess it was kind of in my nature to be into music. I started writing and creating music at a very young age. Got into piano lessons, taught myself how to play the guitar, and Um, it's like that to this day. I have my own project called Eyes That Can't Close. I started that in
Okay.
senior year of high school. Yeah, it's just acoustic emo, but I write my own I've been writing my own music, and it's just a passion of mine that I've always had, and I probably always will have. It helps me express myself in ways that therapy and talking to people or talking to friends and family um don't really satisfy. It helps me bring out that emotion that I feel. Thank you. It helps me bring out that emotion that I feel through my music, and not just lyrics essentially. But that's me.
Beautiful. And if I may, what is the name of your side project or the other project you're doing?
Eyes That Can't Close.
Eyes That Can't Close. Well, hopefully, Ms. Zeph, this can be the beginning of us finally having a project of that subgenre hosted onto the show. After all, what I can quote very, very easily is that this show, yeah, sure, it has a pretty drippy, like weird deathcore, death metal, slam friendly logo. But the thing is, last year we recorded a session with Epidemectomy, which is a slam project, in which one of their members, Ramon, who's now like very, very I would love to say a close friend, but we haven't released that session yet, so we can't do that. What I would say though is that if we had the opportunity to release that session, which the only reason we didn't is because you can't hear their side of the conversation. So it just sounds like a schizophrenic session, me, myself, and I. And therefore I had no choice but to discard that iconic session. But not only does Mr. Ramon do Epidemectomy, which is more brain dead slam, but still slam that was highly regarded by a lot of digesters, consumers of that subgenre, but also one of the best slam albums of last year. Mr. Ramon is the last member of 2019 Appalachian Blackened Deathcore band, the Hopewell Furnace, which I fell in love with. And when they had to disband in 2019, it broke my heart. But he also has Hometown Weather, which is a pop punk band. The reason I mentioned this in reference to Eyes That Can't Close is because if we were to release that session successfully, not only would he have reached out to all of the members of former Black and Deathcore band, the Hopewell Furnace, in hopes to reassemble them through the attention and reception of said session, but through him, we plan to still have our very first pop punk band, Crosscast. We want to expand this show, have it be true counterculture, and not allow its pantheon, if you will, of artists to be confined to the heaviest subgenres in the world. We've already done that. We've already accomplished that. So the question remains, how far can we reach into more radio friendly subgenres of true counterculture music and have it be successful, have it retain the same audience, if not a more expansive audience? Through you, Miss F, I hope that we have the opportunity then in the future, depending on if you like this experience or not, to go ahead and bring attention, bring limelight to Eyes That Can't Close. I think that could qualify, if you wish, to be a fun fact, but I want to push the envelope a little bit more. Other than you having a side project that could kickstart an entire series for the show in the future, what would you say is a fun fact about yourself? Maybe that has nothing to do with the music industry, or maybe a trietary alternate creative medium that you indulge in. Something like that.
I solved the Rubik's Cube in 13 seconds before.
There you freaking go. That is a fun fact. That is awesome. That is what we were talking about. Okay. I know I couldn't solve that within 13 seconds. Like, Jesus, man. And there was a reason I was called caveman and cave meister back in the day in my high school days. So that's awesome. So in that case, now with you guys' help, with the help of Benny, Josiah, and Zeph of In Faith and Misery, a new generation MySpace Revival deathcore and metalcore band that hopes to innovate and truly fulfill what this podcast is meant to bring limelight to, which is true counterculture through variety in their discography going into the near future. Let's go ahead and dive headfirst and provide each of your musical backgrounds a little more thorough attention, starting with Benny. So, Benny, you provided us an elementary level introduction, which is what I instructed you to do, right? But now, let's go ahead and talk as adults. Let's go ahead and provide limelight to your lore as a musician so far. This means take us back to the very beginning that you can remember of you becoming a music enthusiast, picking up your first instrument, perhaps before you briefly, and for now, decided to have your role be in that of a vocalist, first a feature and now a full-time member, vocalist for this project, as well as, please tell us about any other projects that you had before, whether they actually became bands or just stuck to chicken scratch logo projects, full of ambition, but no accomplishment. And yeah, tell us everything you think is relevant about your history so far as a musician, leading up to In Faith and Misery. Take it away, sir.
So I guess like you said, like basically what really made me start from the beginning, I feel like I just always like, I guess you could say with games, just anything, music around me, sounds, anything, school too, because you know there's like music class in school. I've always liked music. I just always liked the sound, and I guess like I don't know if this makes sense, but like just the rhythm of like things, because everything in life has rhythm, timing, everything. So I guess that also made me feel like, hey, I like that. And I guess more in fourth grade, I started seeing like I had an iPad and I had a Launchpad app, and I used to play Alan Walker Faded, right? And I used to hit that shit. I used to be, and I used to just do a whole bunch, like, and I used to like, I found out about Pandora, and I was listening to a lot of like random shit that was just on there, a lot of random stuff, and then growing up too, just always like music, like Call of Duty Zombies. You know, I always like the zombie Easter egg music. I've always had that from like I think
Man.
third grade and all that. My brother gave me a 3DS that had like all the songs downloaded into it. So I used to just sit, listen to all those over and over and over. Just fucking, I'd be like, oh, I like this. Yeah, especially the harder screaming parts. I was like, ooh, I like that, I like that. And then it's like more back in like, I say I've always thought about performing, always thought about liking and be like, you know, it'd be cool to give something to someone, like have a reason to do something and someone also likes the thing that you're doing, you know what I mean? Like give some enjoyment to someone watching you, give some enjoyment to yourself, also seeing that you can make someone feel good doing what you like to do and they like to watch you do it in a good way. Because I guess like in seventh grade too, I lived with my sister and her brother, or my brother-in-law and my sister, right? And he was a rapper, but he loved metal, grew up on guitar, rock, alt music. He grew up on all that. And when I moved in with them in seventh grade, he introduced me to a lot of that music. And especially in there in seventh grade, I started getting into it a lot with him. And he was a yeah, he started off as a metal musician, and then at some like show, I forgot what it was, but he was at some festival, some metal festival, and then he came up on the stage, and I guess he started rapping, and everyone started like fucking with him, and I guess right there he started being like, oh, people really like my stuff, and he started doing shows after that, and he used to take me to these little like rap shows, and I start to see like kind of like I'm not gonna lie, like kind of hyping him up. You know, hey, rest in peace though. He is gone, but hey, he was a lot of influence with my music stuff too, because he would just show me like if you really go in there and show the confidence, show that you're really about it, and like that performance act part of it, you know, you get that like attention bringing to you because he was in a rap group where most of the people were like R&B, hip hop, or like trying to be on like some gang music kind of type of stuff, right? But he would come in on some like I guess he really liked the like Ghost Main stuff, you know, Suicide Boys, all that, because he really liked the metal, hard, darker stuff, and he would just come in, start like chopping it up, like what I had this like imprinted in my head. He used to come in dark room or dark beat, just coming in, and everyone would start walking up to the stage once he starts rapping, because everyone would be like, what the heck? Because he would come in like I don't know how else to say it, but like he would have that aura, if that makes sense, right? Like all the other rappers would be like rapping, and then I would see him like giving his all. He would really give like a true performance to like make people want to watch him. And I would see that, and then you would like just give it all, and I'd be like, damn, okay. So after that, I started really seeing, and I went to my first show, like I say, maybe like, when do you think that one show at the Civic Park was? A long time ago when this figure was supposed to be there.
Oh, man.
Like that was like almost 2 years ago. That was like 3 years ago.
Yeah, no, that was like 2 years ago.
Yeah, that's when because I've always knew there would be performances, and I always knew people could perform. But until I went to a local scene and started seeing that, I was like, wait, you could really perform like that? And it's not like you have to just get some local big, like get signed and all that. I was like, wait, you could really like just have fun. And after that, that's when I started learning vocals really hard and really like, I was like, ooh, I really like that. And I'd say right there is when I really wanted to get into like, especially like metal vocals and do that because I love the energy you could give out performing too. You don't gotta like worry about like people judging that much. You could just do what you like, do what you love, have fun with it, go crazy, and that's what I really love about it too.
Oh yeah. No, I love that. Dude, performance is everything. Understanding performance. I think that is the true step to understanding whether or not you want to be a musician. And I've mentioned this a couple times on the show. I try not to pay too much attention or pay too much attention to it. Because like, you know, that was just the beginning. That was my moment when I realized that I did want to become a performer. And back at the tail end of my high school career, when I was attending a dropout school, to be honest, I got involved in their musical program, and I wanted to play an original song that I still have yet to turn, pardon me, into an actual song. I will eventually. And this is the bigger picture version of this is a collaboration with Polyphia. With me doing like more casual nylon acoustic guitar, and then maybe eventually with the help of my future full-time members for Blind Without Our Failures, like of course have Tim Henson of Polyphia in there to do his very iconic flamenco style, but then also kind of break out of nowhere into a more Ocean's 8 Alaska friendly gent metalcore. So I have yet to do that. I have yet to perform that song or really finish that song. But for the most part, the melody is figured out, and I could play I think they call it like a stripped version of it. A lot of bands will do acoustic versions of their metal songs, and like I forgot what it's called, but my music teacher is like, I don't think that song is ready, but what you should do is play Beartooth's The Lines low gains mix. And so I did. I played that at a rented venue over at Santan Marketplace. Ironically, right next to I think the Harkins Theaters in that mall, in that outside mall. I remember playing Beartooth's The Lines low gains mix in front of an audience, mainly of the students that were otherwise performing in different acts that night. I remember playing this song, being really, really nervous, but eventually I got through the song. And before it even started, I said, this is a song about suicide awareness. I hope you all enjoy. This is Beartooth's The Lines low gains mix. And I remember looking back at my teacher a great number of times because I'm like, I don't think I could do this. And he's like, no, no, keep going, keep going. And I did. I finished the song. I didn't get like a standing ovation or anything, but as I was preparing to leave, because I would have to board ride home from Santan Marketplace all the way to where I was living at the time, eventually I would reach home. And before I headed home, before that journey, I remember a great number of parents of the students there that night shaking my hand and being like, that was a really beautiful song. Thank you for playing that. And I was like, oh, yeah, sure, cool. And then I disappeared into the night with the acoustic guitar on my back, riding a skateboard home in a semi professional outfit that most likely tore that night. What's up?
No, knowing that you left something for someone to enjoy and look like just to remember, have something feel like, hey, you know, that made me feel good. That made me feel good.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why I bring up that story. After that, I mean, I haven't really performed since because all of the bands and band projects before and after so far, up until Error by Blind Without Our Failures, they were really just ideas created by people who appreciated the music but did not have the ambitions and the motivation necessary to actually sit down and start compiling melodies, compiling even anything on a nylon acoustic guitar. Unfortunately, then I had to commission someone from based in Toronto named Alex Saveni to help me create the first instrumental for my own band project. And since then, I mean, dude, I have 10 albums, bare minimum, worth of lyricals or lyrics, and some even rough draft musical compositions that I eventually want to turn into music. But until then, that's what it is. Please, Mr. Benny, continue with your story.
I guess like how you said, the little side project things. I try to indulge in a little side project thing that was totally trash, garbage. Could have been better if I had real people. Because it was a little thing I called it slits. It was originally supposed to be me and my girlfriend because she played guitar, but I guess she didn't like really what's it called? Like she didn't get into it as much as I was trying to get into it. So then like one day I got bored and I was like, because I had the basic trash freaking what's it called? Metal Zone pedal, right? Because I was like, I'm gonna start this. I'm gonna go crazy. I'm gonna hit some chugs, make some freaking beats, go crazy. So what I did, I got a what's it called? A YouTube drum track. And I put it up. I was like, deathcore drum track, right? A little simple little thing. And I have no guitar experience. I barely was just playing with it. And I watched a few Chris Garza videos and I liked how he was playing. I was like, hey, I like that. See the little chug, chug, chug. And I was just learning a little bit of guitar, just playing with it. And I started learning. I don't know how it's part. Is it called like barring? I don't know if that's how you say it, but it's just going like,
Yeah,
like that, right?
Boring. Yeah.
So I was just chugging it. And I was like, you know what? It sounds cool. And then I was like, I bought the Scarlett because I wanted to record music. I wanted to like start making music because I was like, it's something I just want to do for fun too. And I mic'd up the amp that I had to the Scarlett to the mic and everything, and I just recorded over the drum track that I had downloaded, and I liked it, and I was listening to it for a few little like days, and I was like, I'm gonna throw vocals on it, and it was just funny, some little funny thing. I wanted to like start it for real. I was trying to look for a drummer and then like maybe if I found a real guitarist, do it all that. But things happen.
Yeah.
But I do little fun songs just for fun.
And it was just the homework.
But
we should remake them.
that's what I was thinking. I wanted to bring something up. Slits, IF&M version.
Slits faithless version or something like that. That way it's like because there are bands like Angel Maker where their members like, well, I don't know, Johnny also does Carcosa, and then there's a third band or second side band he does. Like when you become a musical entity like Angel Maker, where all of your members also have their own things that they're doing, whether on an exclusive Patreon or just as side music projects, that's how you know that like this band is consistent of musicians. And I think that's beautiful. I think that's lovely. So yeah, dude, fucking bring Slits back from the grave, man. That could be fun.
If I ever could, I will.
Oh yeah, dude.
I took a little bit of finding Faith and Misery too. I was searching. I was like, I want to do rules. I'm gonna do this.
Right.
Ask 20 bands, and then in Faith and Misery, hey, they accepted me.
Hell yeah. So compared to perhaps your prior efforts in just getting a band project set up, what would you think has been different so far other than, making an album, actually getting it out, actually getting it distributed and released, all that fun stuff? What would you say is different about when you joined In Faith and Misery?
Basically everything. Cause In Faith and Misery is my first band ever. Like all these tracks basically that I did vocals over was my first time ever recording too. So there's probably a lot of errors in there, but I'm just learning it, and I was just excited because they gave me the chance, and I was like, oh, I want to do it. And basically, I kind of worked with one other band, but it was just a practice run, and I did pretty good because I learned all the songs and all that, but it like didn't work out because it ended up like dying, I guess. Like
Right.
Who'd you play for?
I was gonna try. Oh, and it was a lot of lore that came up too. I found out about the person. I was
Yo,
like,
Spill, hold on.
yeah, but it was just this one band. You know Chronophobia?
No way.
Yeah.
No, what?
Yeah, I was gonna do it, but I found Laura. Hey, can't get. Hey, that's their information, their personal shit. But I just was like, I'd rather not be associated with it. I was excited. It was gonna be my first show too. We had a show coming up, and I had all the songs locked in. Like, and like he said, like he had other people like audition for his band, and I was like one of the only people who had it like on time and on point with all the songs that he all came in, like that people that tried. But I was all like, maybe it was just meant to be for Into Faith and Misery, you know? It was faith comes misery, and with misery comes faith, you know?
True.
Like,
True
oh,
shit. All right. Well, I do believe that that is a wonderful way to summarize your story so far, diving as headfirst as possible into what is considerably a shallow pool worth of lore, only for now. Okay. As time continues on, and maybe we have you guys return to like more confidently fulfill the Crosscast experience of, hey, remember how we released that first album? Well, we got a new EP out, and day one of the EP, we also have a Crosscast coming out. Like that's kind of the bigger goal with this show, is to have a chunk of conversation and lore keeping released right alongside your music. But not only that, the under the skin segment, right, which is the track by track lyrical analysis. Hopefully, then for that next major release, your next big step. Now, for now, we're gonna go ahead and put a pin in your lore, Benny. Josiah, you're next, my friend.
My music lord.
Yeah. Yeah.
I-
Basically, yeah, just take us back in time to the beginning of you becoming a musician, any relevant side projects or homework projects, band projects that you did before In Faith and Misery, and what you think are all of the bulletins of relevance that led you to becoming a part of this band.
All right. So I guess I ain't gonna go too deep because I was gonna go deep, deep, like deep.
You can if you want. That's what the Crosscast is for.
So originally, like my plan was like to be a producer for my cousin, and it kind of still is. I have a couple beats, but we used to like I used to, or more so a DJ or somebody for my cousin. My cousin used to be a rapper, and I used to just want to try to help him with the music side of things. And throughout time, I would either make beats or just like put on beats for him to rap over, right? Or help him get shows or whatever, or help him just do whatever. And well, I guess the shows thing was a little it was in the mix of me being in a different band, but throughout time, I've kind of just wanted to always help support my cousin throughout his music thing. But I kind of ended up picking guitar up just randomly out of like nowhere because the one of the homies he had put me on, and it was just throughout time we were just messing around, we were chilling at the house smoking weed, and we were just wanting things to do. He was like, "I have a guitar, you should get one." And I was like, "Ah, you know what? That's kind of fire. You should bring it over. Let's play it." But then I called my uncle because I knew he had a guitar for like ever. He had like won it at like a Tito's factory, and it was like this Tito signed Epiphone. I still have it to this day, but I
That's
have
sick.
to retire it. I have to retire it now. The input jack is fried, but
Oh no.
that's like that was like my first ever guitar. I even put like new tuners on it. I got a new nut for it, and then I like reset up the neck and everything for that. I made that my baby. That was my guitar. And when I picked it up, I just like nonstop play. I remember sitting up for like 48 hours straight, sitting in a chair practicing pinch harmonics. I know I have like somewhere in one of my old iClouds, I have like a 2 hour video of just me like for hours.
That's
And
homework, man. That's fucking homework, man.
I would just sit there and my mom would like be in the middle and I like turn it down or whatever. And I just sat there doing that for a while. I was recording things like on BandLab. You know, same thing Benny would do. I just look at YouTube drum tracks and then just record things on BandLab for a minute and find like vocal samples on BandLab and then just make my own little remixes of stuff that I could find and just do that. Ended up joining a little project. We went around to like Cali. We played shows with like Jesus Peace. We played shows with Eyes That Cant
Damn.
Fire. We played shows with like Knuckle Sandwich. We played shows.
Damn, dude.
Had a couple good big shows.
Prestige Master.
Stupid. Then falling out because the band just we had hard times keeping members, you know, and finding a good schedule. So it ended up just falling apart. So then I ended up just sticking on my like own thing for a minute until me and her ended up making and Fake the Misery. Originally, this wasn't even supposed to be like a real like band. Like we were just fucking let's just drop music, Sage from Arizona, and then just be like this online thing. It ended up turning out cooler because Benny ended up getting on. We had one of the homies out here, Dago, be on for a song, and we were like, man, this would be sick if like we play this live. And then ended up getting some dude, his name's Dalton, from I'm pretty sure he's from Texas, but I could be so wrong.
Yeah, I think it's Texas.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's from Texas.
There's a band called, I think it's Bludgeon the Week.
Yeah, shout out Bludgeon.
Ooh.
They
Houston, Texas, I think.
yeah, I believe so. He ended up getting on a vocal feature, and we thought that was pretty sick. That and he's pretty big on TikTok too. So yeah, check him out because he has some insane covers, dude.
Insane.
Okay.
Yeah, he's pretty crazy.
Goodness.
And then we ended up getting another. She's little mutuals with her. Her name's like what's with Flaccid, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Flaccid 28. And she had some pretty sick vocals. They're we just found them off of TikTok, and we thought they had some pretty sick vocals and that they're pretty cool people, and we ended up getting a feature with them. I'm like, damn, this is like working. Like we could do a little more with this. And we had our drummer. We've had like practices before, and they were like, damn, this kind of isn't working. But then we kind of wrote some music, and they were like, okay, hold on, we could try this up again. And now we're grooving and we're moving. So that's kind of how things came to be with Just in Faith and Misery for me. I kind of just started off just fucking around with things, hoping, I could see my cousin, make it big. And, he's doing, shout out me hard boy, shout out Isaiah, because he is doing big things. I think he just played a show at the Now. I forgot what the fuck the rapper's name. But he got a show, I think, with like Uno the Activist. He played a show with me with like Christ Dillinger at the Nile. He opened with me on a set. I thought that was like a full circle moment. Oh my God, that was so peak. But yeah, that was my music goals at first was either be a producer for my cousin or be a DJ. Ended up picking guitar up because the homie was suggested it, and then I ended up. My homie don't even play the guitar like that. He just sits on the game for real. He ever since he was like, damn, dude, like you know more than me. I don't even play guitar. I kind of just ventured off into my own lane, and then ended up picking up. I was originally like a black metal dude. It's so funny to think. Like, I used to listen to so much black metal, it's embarrassing. And then I don't know how. I think like one day I heard like a slam song, and then I heard how much cooler chugging was compared to tremolo picking. And I was like, fuck, this slaps. Cause I used to love Fat 808s, and I still love Fat 808s. You can tell by the intro of the album. But I like chugs remind me of that, just like boom, like it. I love that like music that thumps in your ears, and the black metal was cool for the atmosphere for the time, but it kind of just I just outgrew it for I don't know. That's how I think. Like sometimes you musically outgrow things. Sometimes you come back and you could enjoy it for music like a minute, but it doesn't slap like it did back then. You feel me? And that's kind of just how I got. I love just chugging breakdown. I still hit my tremolo picks in here and there, but there's ways where I'm not just sounding like I'm howling into them or like
Yeah.
no, I haven't. I like what's their name? They're I can't remember their name. I still go back to them here and there. I gotta look them up, dog.
Okay.
It's my nerves. But I do go back to like some of my old like black metal here and there. There's this one from I think Africa. It's called like Demogorgon Satana or some shit.
Ooh.
They're pretty cool because they were really the ones that got me into like chugging and stuff because they had like this sick ass like black metal chugging riff that kind of used like these sick octave riffs, but then it also had like these fat like groovy chugs. I don't know. I gotta find them. That's the band that I'm thinking of, but yeah, that's how it started. It started off with a bunch of whole different stuff. Originally, I was starting off learning what my homie was learning. It was like Five Finger Death Punch and like dad rock, like just like dad rock for real. I forget what his like favorite band is. I'm so bad with keeping up with band names, dude, because I like
There
play
are millions of them.
dude way too many. And I'm already bad with names in general, dude. So it's like I don't even know. But my guitar journey is weird. I haven't even been playing guitar for that long. I think I'm on going on third year playing guitar. So I haven't even been in it for way too long.
Well, here's the beautiful thing too. Like this, all the lore that you've disclosed to me so far. Definitely be sure to send me a link to that African black metal infused band, because chances are that could be our next African artist. Like we're getting, dude. As soon as I get the voice acting, redubbing, and re-recording for our Darkverse Syndicate session done, chances are that's going to branch into 29 other African metal band based crosscasts, and chances are the Anatomy Crosscast is going to be whispered about throughout that continent, whether in Johannesburg or Cape Town. Like we're making freaking numbers down there, and it's so sick. But if I could ask too, for the sake of your story, as far as year, when did you first take producing more seriously? That way we can have a relative timestamp.
Year wise, I got the name by the way of that band. It was them with Gorith Satan, and I found it right now. And then the other
Okay.
one, Portable. That
Okay.
was by the way.
Send me the links for both of those, man.
I got
Please.
you. Do you got the music at all? I could just send you the whole playlist.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Got you.
Apple
But
Music is my main platform.
taking some music, like producing seriously, I guess with this, I would say. I mean, because I really just messed around. I mean, once I made like a cool little beat for my cousin, I thought was like super sick, and I put a lot of time into that. But then it was more so just fucking around with samples. And then once like, because I like produced and like mixed and did like a lot of the tracking for the album, like a lot of the whole shindig. So that's really like what I took when I started getting more serious into this and started like investing into, actually sound engineering and getting a good and pleasant, mix and having a good thoughtful song and having something that builds and ends very nice, has nice resolve, good build up, just all the whole shindig, and taking really music theory way more seriously. Like that really was something. She tells me I should go to music school, but it's like I that's really where it picked up the most was with this, because then I was like, I mean, I guess I could say with my other project, but that other project I didn't really get to like explore as much as I'd like to, But with this, I have a lot more free reign. So that I really started getting more experimental and a lot more in depth with my music with this project for sure.
Well, the question still remains. What year would you say all this started, my
Yeah,
friend?
I guess 2020,
Okay.
2021, 20. How did when did we start this? When did you get here? Oh no, yeah, 24. I lied. Yeah, I'm thinking way too back. This is like 24. Yeah.
Okay.
Seriously, yeah. My bad. I didn't even process of it. Yeah, the year 24, really more seriously last year, like super seriously. And then I get like the end of last year, right? More, yeah, like around the end of last year is when I started really hauling ass on trying to understand and getting better. And I guess to currently right now, but since we've already dropped, I've kind of been lazy.
Well,
But
I'm sure it'll kick back into gear when it's meant to. I mean, after all, you guys have a lot more to speak about compared to my own multiple ambitioned endeavors. And I use ambitioned as a past tense term because, well, not nearly enough music or creation has been fulfilled since one song that is now 4 years old as of what will be this next December. So give yourself a pat on the back for that, man. Like, sure, the world might not care about just one album by a band who's pretty brand new. The attention span, right? The demand, depending on the project, is like, when's the next EP? When's the next album? It's like, dude, we just released our first album. Calm down. Like, if the music industry was less demanding, I'm sure a lot more bands would be taking the approach that I was mentioning in the BTS section, where it's more like 5 years per album. It's like there are literally hundreds of other bands. Like, go listen to their stuff and really absorb it, really sponge it in. And if there are any stories to tell, well, chances are they spent just that same amount of time, unless they're, pressured and budged by their record label. Chances are they're taking that same amount of time just to stew on those ideas and make sure that they are necessary or appropriate to concentrate into a song and then release into an album. Like, if it was up to me, all of us would be taking like 4 or 5 years, even if we're going on tours. It's like, yeah, sure. But if you have multiple albums, just like cater your chunk of the tour maybe to another album and be like, yo, we're going to play this album in its entirety while we're continuing to stew on this new stuff. Like, the proof is in the pudding. A lot more people appreciate a band that has the opportunity to take more time and stew upon their writing process than be pressured. And it's like biannually. It's like, no, it's so stupid. But that's just me. Forgive me. That's a rant, an unnecessary rant. So we have a good chunk of your lore then, Josiah, thus far. You started as a producer, wanted to help your buddy or even like cousin, I think.
That's like my cousin from birth. Like he's
Right.
my one.
There you go. So you started as a producer. You were encouraged to pick up a guitar. First started out with the tremolo picking ambience that you can find more commonly within blackened or black metal or even Ignite the Church, which really is me and former co-host Derek Connolly of Nithful's umbrella term for black metal, black and deathcore, black and death metal, beat down, down tempo, all those heavier genres that could eventually allude to like anti-Western industrialized religious organizations, to be really specific. So then you went from being intrigued by tremolo picking, most commonly found in black metal, to migrating into the chugs and the 505 infused subgenres of slam, early beatdown, and now MySpace Revival. It's a beautiful story. I love to hear it. And perhaps in the future, once midriff actually becomes a thing, which is meant to be my own lo-fi hip-hop entity, that its bigger picture purpose to help me with lyrical flow, as well as just get music out more regularly and maybe to a broader audience, bigger population of consumers that will then bring in those numbers, hopefully. So we'll go ahead and put a pin in your lore only for now. Miss Zeph, you are the remaining member of the lore, or the lore part of the people segment. So just go ahead and take about 20 to 30 minutes and take us as far back as you feel is relevant, the same way that we've had Benny and Josiah do. Walk us through your story of becoming a music enthusiast, becoming a musician, any projects other than Eyes That Can't Close shut. I know I'm super close. I'm so sorry. Eyes That Can't Close, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I was you're like this motherfucker. So you have Eyes That Can't Close, but then eventually you would join in Faith and Misery. Walk us through that process and tell the Crosscast, the Cross Core about your lore. Please and thank you.
You didn't join, she made it. This is the go. This is the founding.
Ah, I see.
In Faith and Misery wouldn't exist if she wasn't here.
Boom, bada, bang. So we had the founding member, even more important for lore. Take it away, ma'am.
Yeah, so like I said, I kind of always grew up around music. And it wasn't until I got my first guitar, my first electric guitar, when I started actually essentially creating and recording and producing it into like actual songs. At first I was into shoegaze, and I went to shoegaze band, and I tried to get people together. It didn't come together as well as I wanted it to. But I started teaching myself how to write songs, and I just kind of started playing around with the instrument and making whatever I sounded, what I thought sounded good, and then I got into screamo, and that's where I made Eyes That Can't Close. And at first I named it as Bedroom Screamo project, but then I got into college, and you can't really scream in the dorm, so
Right.
I kept it acoustic. It's always been acoustic. But yeah, I've always been into music because, like I said, it's been a way for me to express myself emotionally, especially since I started being diagnosed with mental health issues.
Okay.
That was kind of my main way to kind of release that stress and those thoughts and that anxiety and depression and blah blah, right? So once I knew once I got, because I'm originally from California, so
Okay.
I came to GCU for college, and I knew that I wanted to start a band once I got here. So I started looking for people, and then that's when I met Josiah, and then it started off pretty slow at first. You know, we just kind of got together, played music. He taught me how to, you know, play the guitar better, how to chug and stuff like that. And then I just kind of brought up the idea of making a band and doing crabcore and whatnot. And then I just randomly said, oh, maybe we can do Eyes That Cant Close. Or I'm sorry, maybe we can do In Faith and Misery. It's just something I came up with. And then I made a Instagram account and just kind of, we were just playing around, right? And
Well, the cat just dropped.
uh, we were just kind of messing around. It wasn't anything to be taken seriously. And then it kind of just went from there. We just kept messing around, finding more people, and it kind of just blew up. And here we are.
Right.
So,
Well, I wanted to ask you a question that I don't think I've asked anyone else in hosting founding members for the bands I hoped to host before. And maybe by indulging in the philosophies and process of other musicians, I can find a little bit more success with my own projects, such as Blind Without Our Failures and Project Adam, which is going to be a tech slam band that skyrockets off of the lore of a 9-book saga that starts out as more of a Riverdale / Euphoria teenage powerhouse and teenage authority narrative, and then it shoots, I think, what a lot of people will really enjoy, into a sci-fi fantasy novel. So there's Blind Without Our Failures and Project Adam. Those are my things. And the big issue that I've always had, even since high school, middle school, is actually finding devoted musicians. For you, what do you think it was more a matter of luck through certain social media platforms, or was there a specific process in finding, even if the lineup has changed over time, because that just happens? Those are growing pains for a project. What program or platform did you use? What process did you use to find the members for In Faith and Misery? Maybe I could use some advice.
um, well, I actually met Josiah off of Wiz.
Is okay.
So
If you really win.
it's well, it's supposed to be a friend's.
It's fell off so hard.
Yeah. So I saw that he played the guitar, and I'm like, hey, I'm trying to make a band out in Arizona because I'm going out there for school, and then that was, yeah. So that happened, and then we met up, and then it just took off from there. But it's not easy for sure. It is not easy finding members, and finding members who aren't already in a band, or finding members who are actually down to um be in a band. Like, it's just, usually it's just about the name and the idea, like, oh yeah, I want to be in a band, oh yeah, let's do this. But it's never, people never really go through with it. So it definitely takes time, and you just have to keep searching. It
True.
takes time all over the internet, all different websites, different apps. As far as dating apps, hell, you just have to keep looking, and sometimes going to shows help. But I mean, if you're not social, then that like, I'm very antisocial and introverted, so shows
Oh
didn't.
shit.
So yeah, you just kind of have to keep looking, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. I've had plenty of fall offs of projects and bands because people just aren't devoted as much as they think or say they are. So you just have to keep looking, honestly.
True. Yeah, I mean, the one thing I've been recommended over the years, whether by people who aren't exactly infused into the music industry, but they are familiar with people who are, Craigslist. Craigslist has always been the recommendation for me, and I've never, I don't know why, but I've never taken it seriously. I've never actually opened up, despite all of the time, sometimes that I have, whether at work or at home, to just jump into social media, jump on the internet, because we all are inevitably doomed to doom scroll, right? despite all of the downtime, and I forgot the name of the app, but I have an app that tells me like how many hours of time I've invested the last week into social media. The average is like 3 to 4 hours. And I'm like, oh my God. But
Now,
Craigslist is the one thing that I never took seriously. So I was like, if she's about to tell me that she went onto Craigslist, like I'm making an account right now, like live on the show. But these days, you're right. Despite the 1 in 4 people ratio, I would say, pardon me, of people around the world who are capable and determined to create something and contribute something eventually to various streaming platforms, let alone a YouTube channel with visualizers or lyric videos, what have you. Like you name it, the sky is the limit these days. And as long as you can make the song short enough, you'll reach more people because our attention span has been reduced to just 2.5 minutes. So I will definitely keep that advice in mind, nonetheless, that sometimes you have to go as far as like not like lying to people or deceiving people, but creating a dating profile where you're like, I'm trying to start a band. Like sometimes that might be the more ambiguous solution to the problem of finding devoted musicians. But I mean, give yourself a pat on the back at least, for being able to acquire 2 people that, in the name of this band, are with you at call tonight to fulfill lore and submit to the archives some data in reference to In Faith and Misery, because that I haven't even gone to that freaking step yet. Not really. Like I applaud. I don't envy, but instead I applaud. Just like when you see a post and say you're single for an extended period of time, and you manage to see these posts that are definitely catered to like single people just laughing in their face at the fact that they are single. I'm sure you've seen it on Instagram or various other social media platforms, all the gifs of loneliness beneath the post. And you're just like, man, this is really not a post meant for me, is it? It's just a post to ridicule me, right? To laugh in my face. Sometimes, perhaps in a rather selfish way, you see bands succeed and maybe you feel the same sensation every now and then, or at least people like me do. So, I mean, applaud yourself, give yourself a pat on the back for that. But let's go ahead by all means and continue with your story. So of course you have Eyes That Cant Close, and you realize I can't exactly scream in my college dorm here at GCU. This is a Christian dominant school. It's, or at least to the best of my knowledge, it's kind of a religious catered. It's kind of like going to pardon me. I know you're not originally from Arizona, you're from California, but it's kind of like Central Christian, okay? And what I mean by that, because I am a former Christian as of 2012, which is a long time. Like it's been well over a decade. Um, Back in the day when I was, it was like, Central Christian was the more commercialized, more modernized version of participating in Christianity. You had Sunday school, you had the concerts with Toby Mac and what have you, different Christian artists coming through town. You're like, oh my God, these guys are God loving musicians. Awesome. We get to see them live for free. Let's go. Like, that's just how it was. So, in reference to that, um, forgive me, I think I kind of lost my train of thought, and it's not the sake. I'm just like that. I think, but um, sometimes it's not exactly that your idea is taken so seriously, right? We were talking about I was talking about dorm stuff and recollecting upon that. You can't exactly scream and do screamo in what I've understood so far to be a Christian dominated college. So then you had Eyes That Cant Close, but you still wanted to make something heavy that, with your clean singing to the best of my ability, turns it into more like something like Make Them Suffer as Evergloom Doom, something like that. So go ahead and continue from the point of Eyes That Can't Close and just fill us in as much lore as possible, and maybe even finding the people of the first lineup or the current lineup of In Faith and Misery. That way we have a little bit more for the lineup in the archives.
Eyes That Can't Close. It was originally just something so I could put my music out there.
Right.
I was very influenced with the heavy wave of screamo back in 2023, 2022. So I was like, I want to make music like this. I have a guitar. I know how to play relatively, right? I can just, I mean, I don't scream in a healthy way, but I can get it out. So I just kind of put my stuff together and put it out there. And I got pretty good feedback out of it. And still to this day, people DM me and be like, where's the music? Your music has helped me through hard times. And I'm like, oh, okay. I mean,
I saw that Josiah. It's just like there.
Yeah,
I love it.
Really does much. It is really for me to express myself. But over the years, I've realized that it's helped a lot of people as well. So, anyways, with In Faith and Misery, I've always wanted to be in a band. Specifically playing the guitar, but I mean, whatever. But I've always wanted to be able to create my own music, and what better way to be able to do that with people, right? Doing that by yourself, it's kind of a win or lose if you go somewhere, you know what I mean? But with the band, it's like even if you don't go somewhere, you can still put it out there and perform for people, whether it's, I don't know, in a small venue or I don't know, at a huge concert, whatever, right? And it's fun to be able to make music with people. So I want to be in a band and make music, specifically heavier music, right? So it kind of started off with finding people, maybe getting my friends together, and then looking over the internet, and then um, yeah, that's how I found Beep, like I said, and it started off really slow, right? And Faith started off slow, very slow. It took us about a year to start getting things going. And then our drummer, I also found him off the same app.
Oh, that's how we found him?
Yeah. Yeah, we found him. I found him off Wiz as well. And then yes, there are our he's not our bassist anymore, but one of our bassists, our past bassist, I found him at our school, actually, at my school. I'm sorry, at my school, and I just kind of kept searching and looking, and it was kind of like I never really made it a priority, so it was never a bother to keep going. And then again, I have a passion with music, so I was never gonna stop anyways. So I kept looking and I kept looking and I kept going and I kept going. And we never really gave up. Like I said, In Faith and Misery, it kind of took us like about a year to really start going. And it just, things happen in life, and people come and go, and it's just, it takes time. Things take time. It'll always take. So
but the thing is, just like conception, which I know is a drastically different example, but it still works. Even if you manage to go through all the trials and effort of finding someone, establishing chemistry, continuing that chemistry, and eventually getting groovy, right? For conception still takes about 9 months, right? So in that way, the creation of music for something as prominent as a heavier music band, whether 3 people, such as bands like Victims, or 9 people, like Jesus Christ, 9 people, bands like Slipknot, not only does that require a sense of professionalism amongst all of those people, whether they come and go, or it requires a sense of chemistry beyond that of just even 2 people. In that way, bands kind of prevail that of 2-person, 3-person chemistry. Because these days, polyamorous relationships are an option. Some people entertain that. Good for them. I can't imagine that. I can't imagine entertaining something like that. So then sticking to more traditional stuff, though there were brothels and harems and stuff like that back in the day, just continuing upon that analogy for chemistry, you got to find someone you really, really, really work well with, even on days where you despise them. Okay. So then, speaking for a band, sometimes it's even more complicated. It's even more difficult to find people that would be willing to work with you. One, two, make music with you. Three, invest into a financial pool. That way you can do merch distribution. You can get a producer if you want it, if you don't want to do it yourself. And then getting the music out there in the first place, that all requires a financial pool. And then after all of that trial and error, bulletin four, finding people who want to stay with that idea and not only give birth to that idea and bring it into reality in some way, shape, or form. That's why I think physical CDs and vinyls are so precious to a lot of music enthusiasts. Then you got to figure out, do I want to create another thing with you? In the analysis or analogy of chemistry, do I want to have more than one child with this person? Like, that's a whole other ball game. So it's difficult to find people, but once you do find the right people, it's a sweet spot. Okay. And it's a fantastic sweet spot that even in some examples prevails chemistry. So, Zeph, thank you for providing the chunk of lore that you have so far, telling us about this original predating that of In Faith and Misery project named Eyes That Cant Close. And hopefully, after this conversation, you're like, yeah, sure, I'll come back to the show. And then we can kickstart an entire other series that invests into more radio friendly, kinda subgenres of counterculture music. Now, bouncing right back to the beginning of the lineup with Benny. This is going to be a briefer conversation topic. And despite all of us living in Arizona all of our lives, except for Zeph, she relocated to Arizona for GCU. And I'm glad you're continuing your education. I'm hoping to do so in the near future, doing a student visa with Gogo Nihon and possibly going out to Japan. We'll see what happens. But continuing your education is important because you want to take as much time as possible to expand your knowledge before your brain fully matures and develops. And even then, the old dogs can't learn new tricks. That's not a phrase. I don't think that's truly applicable to humans, as long as you have the ambition to continue learning more and applying your knowledge then to the world around you, whether your world or the world, which your world just means everyone in your friend circle, the people that you love from your family, from your bloodline, and everything that you feel realistically that you have some authority or control over, right? Like you have the ability to change things for the better if the opportunity arises. That's your world. So then, returning to the beginning of the lineup, despite all of us living in Arizona right now, let's go ahead and offer our audience some answers to questionnaire about the topic location. And then, because I think we've been rolling for 2 hours, unless you guys want to continue the conversation afterwards, we might go ahead and cut it off and then finish the rest of the crosscast later on. I will completely understand if that's something that you would prefer. So this is the topic of location. And just for the sake of being able to ask more sophisticated, streamlined questions, I have the questionnaire before me. I haven't done this in a long time. But starting with Benny, what is something you can tell us about where you're from, geographically speaking, that you think other people that listen to the show might not know about?
Oh, let's see. Because I guess like Arizona, it do be hot. I'll say like
Bulletin one.
they're gonna feel it, but I feel like even some people who do live here and they aren't outside a lot, I feel like it's more like you just gotta be used to it.
Yeah, acclimated.
Like that means a few years where I'm able to be outside all the time, and there's no times where I'm just not able to be because maybe I just haven't been out as much. But I always feel like also I don't even know. It'd be bipolar for real. Like it'd be cold, it'd be hot, it'd be good. Some days it'd be confusing, just it'd be I don't really know what else to say like about it besides that, basically. Cause like where I'm at, it's always a lot of like see a lot of buildings, a lot of streets.
A lot of the concrete jungle is abundant.
Yeah, do a few parkour jumps here and there, you know.
Hell yeah. Well, what is something like I know I'm not a person that should be saying this at all because I have nothing really good to say about Arizona except for its triple heat induced agitated music scene that has brought about a lot of good music, including Job for a Cowboy, Blessed to Fall, The Word Alive, Dead, which is I would argue a new generation Corn. They released an album last year, late last year. Haven't listened to it yet, but it looks promising. And then when you dig into the deeper layers, you have former bands like Invirulent, The Exiled Martyr, Ocean Harvest, Carniceria, formerly Buttholectomy. And as far as I'm concerned, I don't even care if I haven't listened to the music yet. I have a feeling that In Faith and Misery could be one of the next top dogs in the state territory.
Old Lucas of Carniceria is who's with us right now, Dago.
Oh,
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah, that's who does the third. Yeah, that's who does our third vocalist right now.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, I'm so stoked that you mentioned it. Yeah, that's
Dude.
you to do that project. That's super sick.
Yeah, I met Carniceria in their full lineup despite a substitute frontman vocalist because I guess he just didn't fucking show up. I was too trashed the care off of our what was it, our Necro Thuggin hard seltzer mix. What's up?
Where was this at? What city?
Oh, right. That's a good question. So this was Steel Cactus Brewery over in downtown Gilbert before it shut down.
Got shut down. What? Dago, because Dago was the vocalist for that, so I guess he didn't show up because he was the vocalist for that band. So I don't know. Dago,
Yeah.
no, I don't know.
Right. So if I remember correctly, that night, the last night that Invirulent ever played at that's not true. That's not true. That's an exaggeration. They played a couple shows after that because they did a Duncan, Oklahoma set with Tyrannical Deception, Bad Trip, and fucking Unrelenting Butchery when we were over in Oklahoma because I was working merch for them that night. I have a post on Instagram for it. Coolest freaking roadie experience ever until someone else takes me out on the road. But when we returned to Gilbert to Steel Cactus Brewery, they welcomed us with a custom, very, very like neon green tasting Necro Thuggin' Heart Seltzer mix. That was sick. I got pretty nauseous after from that and like some taco stand food because I was broke. And that was a great show. But on that show's lineup was Magna Carta 300.
Dude, I knew exactly what show you're talking about. I was there, bro.
You were there? That's fucking sick.
It was at the show with Magna on it. I know exactly what fucking show. I didn't know that was one of the last shows that they played out here, dude. I didn't, dude, because I remember, I'm not gonna lie, me and the homies were suspecting that the vocal was off a little bit of some happy go lucky. But dude, yeah, I remember like, damn, this show, dude, because Virulent sounded so good that night. Like they literally sounded the best out of all the sound quality of their set had the room banging. Oh my god, bro, that was a fire set.
It was so good.
One of the last shows that they played, and
I'm pretty sure it was the last Arizona local show that they ever played. So you got to,
because if then I wouldn't have been able to see them because I fuck with them hard. So Virulent, dude.
Oh, man.
Invirulent. That's
Yeah.
the first ever band AZ local that we ever hosted. Me and all the guys are still really good homies. Tristan Cheshire and Ernie. They've since started their own band called Potato. They released an EP on that. We have yet to host them. And then Shobe, he started a band called Enfuckment. He has a solo trap metal project called Clank God, which is a reference directly to one of their last tracks. And then Derek Ryan has Enfuckment, which is supposed to be Invirulent 2.0. And then Gorpulent, featuring Drake Gambill, also from Necrophilic Beatdown, Parasitic Embodiment, and Epidemectomy. He is like Gorpulent is him and Derek's thing, but they also got Joe Mortimer from Torso Fuck, Corpoglesis. God damn it, I'm trying to remember the other UK notorious slam band he's in, but he's in a lot of stuff. And then they have the drummer from Torso Fuck as well, and they are bound to release a full length this summer, which we will be hosting them on, and we will be having that full, and that'll be Crosscast experiences. Like the moment they release their, pardon me, the moment they announce that the album is coming out through Inherited Suffering Records, which we might also get sponsored by, they will also say, hey, like this album's coming out on this date, but we also got a Crosscast session coming out on this date. And I'm really looking forward to that. That's what I want to do with every single fucking band we host, but that takes time. It takes time and takes homework. So that night it was Magna Carta, it was Witherbloom, it was Invirulent, it was Carniceria, and I think Ripped Out. Because I know Buttholectomy wasn't there that night, but I remember, dude, I remember getting like at least one clean one just by being on the outside of the pit from one like fucking bowl-cutted Mexican kid. And I'm like, oh, hell no. Like, I got fucking riled up there for a second because I got fucking hit in the fucking side of the temple just by being outside the pit. I'm like, you know what? You know what? This is how shows are supposed to be.
Especially out here. Especially out here.
That triple-digit heat, dog, that compels people to violence.
Going to a Cali show, being like in the Cali pits, like playing shows in Cali, like the one at Jesus Piece. Like, I'm not even gonna lie, that pit was violent, but like they're not as crowd kill violent as Arizona people are. Like, it's literally people. I see people literally avoid each other in the pit just to crowd kill in Arizona. It's so funny. And I remember going to a 2-piece show in Florida. It wasn't even like that. So dumb.
Yeah, it's all here, man. Like I think they're too fucking, what is it? There's something different with the moisture in the air, whether in Tennessee or Florida, like the true South, right? The moisture, it just like it sucks all of that stamina out of you. But here with the dry heat, man, it's like a conventional oven, right? So it's like you're not getting your fucking electrolytes and hydration sucked out of you. That way, you're not even motivated enough to crowd kill. Like you're gonna fucking crowd kill because you're dry heat sweating, and you're just like, bro, I want to fucking kill something, and then you do. So that's how it works here, and that's why Arizona is one of my least favorite states to go to a show for. I remember after getting 2 rounds of the Moderna vaccine back in 2021, I went to the Left for Suffer, or pardon me, Jesus Christ, Left to Suffer headliner with Boundaries, Body Snatcher, and a couple others at the Nile Underground, the Nile basement. Dude, that basement was so fucking stuffy that night because it was July. I could not last down there for too long, dude. It was insane. I hated it so much, but I got to meet Taylor Suffer before his set. Now that was really cool. But literally that show was a fever dream because of the trapped heat and moisture down there. So that's also why I want to get the fuck out of Arizona as soon as possible. Our shows here are almost unbearable, and that's for a seasoned zoner, which zoner is just that's just what I call Arizona local folk. Like born and raised here, desert rats. Nah, dude, you can't call us desert rats because most people get offended. I just call them zoners. It's like you're in the fucking zone for violence because of that triple-digit induced rage and violence, dude. But for sure. So then continuing upon the less positive biased conversation by mostly Arizona natives, Josiah, what is something that outsiders, non-zoners should know about the great Phoenix Metro Valley area, let alone most of the main grid area of Arizona that is like somewhat positive, I guess?
Fuck no. So, all right. Oh, Arizona is not what y'all snow. And let y'all snowbirds picture Arizona as Scottsdale, right? All of Arizona is. And that's where they all want to go to. Scottsdale, Tempe, it's all that. Once they get to Phoenix, once they get to Glendon, once they get to Peoria, once they get to Surprise, once they get to Avondale, once I guess Goodyear-ish. But Goodyear ain't got nothing. So it's like when you get out here, you're like, damn, what the hell am I in for, bro? It's so bad. Like, oh my, I don't know why there's so many people that decide to come here anyway. That's why Texas started taking over the ranks where people are deciding to go when it comes to like.
You're so right about that, man. People are like, oh my God, fucking, there's a beach there. I'm like, no, it's Tempe Town Lake, dumbass.
Like,
no lake.
Lake, and then there's what's Lake Havasu? Like, let's say Like, come on. And then I mean, like, Flagstaff is far away, so it's like, there's nothing out here like for real, bro. And it's like I've been here all my life, so you see tweakers everywhere in the city, unless you're out. And even Goodyear's starting to get tweakers. I've
Oh man.
been now. Goodyear's even starting to get tweakers running around. I'm like, dang, like it's like there's drug addicts everywhere. There's 10 streets in Phoenix. I mean, I lived in Glendale for a long time, so I'm getting waken up by
Wonder.
getting waken up by fat turbos, getting waken up by like down cars, getting waken up by gunshots, getting waken up by just anything, bro. And that parts of Glendale, because I used to live on 67th. So and like where the down the street would go down to like Maryvale. So that was kind of that's where people would play like the worst part. But it's bad.
Oh my god.
North Phoenix has the fucking hooligans, bro. And
Oh
the Gilbert, the Gilbert bro, and it's like stupid, bro. Camden doesn't have anything in it, but rich sorority white girls, and then you got the A because they all go over to ASU, and it's Tempe, it's right down the street. So it's like, bro, it's
this
all
man understands my pain.
Tucson is far away, and that's like it's just more trapped out version of Phoenix. So I mean, and then Casa Grande, that's also it's a lower version of Tucson. So it's like,
You don't really have anywhere to run these days.
bro, it's all bad. That's why I just chill, bro. There's not nothing to do. These people are all weird, and they're not from here. All got these other people from other cities, other states, all interacting. And I mean, it's cool and it's not cool because it's like so blah over here. Interacting with a lot of blood. I don't know. Maybe I just don't go out into the right places, But for what I've seen, at least in this scene, holy fuck, bro. I mean, first off, the main meme. Every band has the same lineup. You'll see the same every weekend. It's the same band. If you missed a band last weekend, don't even trip. You could go see them next weekend. Like, I mean, it's beginning better, but we don't have a lot of. So you get the big acts, but of course it's gonna be at the Now. It's gonna be the Rosetta Room. It's gonna be at maybe. I mean, all the Creeps get some good acts sometimes, but it's just gonna be your same guys, and then we've been slowly converting back into a little punky type of scene, or more little undergroundy type of guys. I've seen Death Ode's doing a little better, and they're not really big heavy band like that. So but it's just it's dry. It's dry. Arizona's dry. Arizona, it's the desert. It's dry. The main dog. It really does.
Oh man. Well, I'm glad you and me will always be able to conversate, whether over the phone, on the Crosscast, or in person about this shit. Because, dude, there's a reason that I want to get out of here. I was born and raised here. I think the coolest place that I've been to here in Arizona would be either Payson, Sedona, or Alpine. No one freaking knows what Alpine is, and that's probably for the best. It is the closest thing that you get to Hawkins, Indiana, here in Arizona. Like, dude, the only cool thing about Arizona that I've discovered through my more supernaturally charged experiences up on the Mogollon Rim is that for whatever reason, Arizona seems to be one of those battleground states, and like this is a very, very like this is how do you say it? This is breadcrumbs on a hiking trail. Like this is a very vague hypothesis, but my so far supernatural and paranormal experiences tell me that this, for whatever reason, Arizona is a battleground state between skinwalkers and Sasquatch. And why I say that is because of the Mogollon Rim, man. Like if you guys are the reason, or if you guys are the additional people that we bring up with us to False Giant Point up on the Mogollon Rim at Black Canyon, so be it. But y'all better be armed. Y'all better be armed and have plenty of flashlights and be in very close proximity to one another, because there's one Sasquatch up there and one Skinwalker that I think has killed 7 people so far, and decided to put that on display for me in a very uh, subconscious way. And that's like probably the coolest thing about Arizona is the walkers. And it's like, you don't want to fucking run into a walker, man. You really don't. You have no way to kill them. You can't shoot them. You just have to run and hope that they don't decide to chase after you with their predatory fucking eldritch cemetery security watchman instincts, dog. Like you just gotta pretend they're not there, same as the Appalachian rules, and just get out of there. Like escape, run away, get back to civilization, be around other people. And that's just like, that's kind of a vague theory on how to stay safe from them. So other than that, other than Arizona being a supernatural, paranormally charged battleground state, Josiah is right. There's not really much to do out here. Like you can have your malls, you can have your fucking marketplaces and complexes, but
Mattel Road's been under construction for how long, dog?
dude, don't get me started.
Dude,
We're always under construction because of the rapid expanse of what are the final reasonable territories of the West.
So bad.
But do you know what's really funny, Josiah? Josiah and Benny, you probably know about this. We are no longer impregnable to tornadoes and earthquakes. Like we had our first one last year for both of those categories. I'm like, dude, even the snowbirds are running for the hills again. Like there's no escape anymore. But that's probably for the best. It means that maybe we'll have less snowbirds within the next couple of years because they're like, well, the tornado ratio is less than 5% here in Arizona compared to other states. Like there's barely any twisters or earthquakes. Wow. Like it's a whole other freaking conversation. But
yeah.
Well, with that all in mind, Zeph, despite the commentary we've provided so far in our rather negative bias of the Arizona State Territory, in your experience so far being in GCU or any other adventures that you have maybe partook in so far in your time attending GCU, what are some things that you've enjoyed about Arizona? Or have you? It's okay if there haven't really been. Like
but other than that, I don't like it here, and I've said it once and I'll say it again. I'm getting out of here once I graduate. It's too hot, there's nothing to do.
It's fun here.
Oh my god, I love it.
That just makes it worse for me in terms of how I the school that I go to, very
sorry.
Let's just say GCU isn't GCU, you don't see people like me at GCU. And I just don't like it. I don't like the school, I don't like the area, I don't like the state. And I don't. I mean, you know, the shows and the raves, you know, they're great. And the opportunities I've had, the opportunities I've had here, it's great. But yeah.
Other than that, it's like, no, I don't want to stay here. And that's completely understandable. So what I'm trying to say to all of our listeners, for the love of God, for the love of all the gods, do not waste your time in investing into the feeble, futile, porcelain, fragile house marketing that we have out here. It is trash. You're better off buying land where a haunted house used to be deep in the South.
And befriending the ghosts.
Building a separate room for them. That way you have a haunted house, Adam's Family style. And he was like, yeah, one of our roommates is a ghost. He just throws glass around and you never actually see him throw the glass because he's dead. Like don't move to Arizona. Save yourself some time. Not only that, but it seems like since 2020 they've been just trying to clear out the West, man. So it's like they don't want any of us out here anymore anyways. Don't move out here. Save your money, save your time. And if you want to continue your education out here, like Miss Zeph, by all means, do so. But then do yourself a favor. Don't stay here. I'm surprised we haven't had an exponentially increased ratio of people die from heat stroke alone. And like, that's not to be too insensitive. The weather out here is merciless, man. Like, I'm surprised I've lived this long, up until the age of 26, living out here. So I think that will be a more graceful way to end the location part of the questionnaire. And really, just in reference to Rot in Faith, you guys' first full length album, same order as we did before, and most likely to conclude tonight's part of the Crosscast. Next time, we will be engaging in the more depersonalized questionnaire, asking the origins of the name, what subgenre they actually attempted to nominate themselves with, and everything else truly relevant to the creative process of their discography so far. Um, what I want to ask finally, in finalization, from Benny to Zeph, right? Benny, Josiah, Zeph. What would you say are 5 records, bands, or even standalone singles that were relevant to the creative process of the final product of Rotten Faith? Take it away, please.
I guess like with like what inspired like my part of like what I put in, right? Basically. So
Yes,
I,
correct.
I don't know if it might sound a little basic, but I really, really loved a lot of the early EP stuff of Suicide Silence. Like that grimy, just raw, going at it, just like hit you in the face type of like sound. Like I still want to learn to get as deep and as grimy as I can with my screams, my lows, and all that. Just like, and like, I guess in a way, like just how uh basically, with my style, it's a lot of like the basic deathcore stuff. Really, a lot of Carnifex, Chelsea Grin, fucking Suicide Silence, especially. That was like my fixation right there. Like I was learning. One of my favorite songs from them right there, where I put a lot of my stuff in, is "Distorted Thought of Addiction." That's one of my favorite songs from them, and I fucking love that shit right there.
It's a Suicide Silence CD right here for how much we love Suicide
That's
Silence.
sick, dude. That's badass.
Bro, me and my girl, we bought the cleansing for her car when she got it, and we were listening to that shit every day, every single day, every day. And then she got to a point where she was all like, she couldn't even play it around me because I've always every drum part I'd be playing it, every blast beat I was blasting something, or I'll be doing the vocals. She's like, okay, calm down. And just the energy of his live performances too. I just love all that because it's like it's just and I just like, and everything I try to like, everything I try to put into like recording, I try to make it where I also put it on the same lines of for performing. So whatever I do recording, I want to know that I'm able to perform it while doing it at my full capacity, like like full, like it's like training.
Potential.
You train a combo over and over and over, so you get it down muscle memory, just like that.
True
So
shit.
I try to like make a song where I know after I do this vocal part, I'm gonna start swinging my head around and then catch my breath and go again, boom, right there, time it out, and like just have fun with it and go crazy. That's
Hell
how
yeah.
I like make my music, or try to how when I do music, try to keep a good little thing, like knowing that like if I ever perform this thing, I'm gonna make sure I'm able to perform it at my top efficiently.
Hell
That's
yeah. So for Benny, obviously for everyone else in the band, this being predominantly a MySpace revival deathcore band that hopes to expand through hardstyle and older forms, also MySpace era of metalcore. For Benny, he focuses in on the stage presence, the vocal precision, the style, just embodying as much of
can't wait.
icons like
Once I
Mitch,
start
Mitch Lucker as possible.
freak out when I start performing.
True. Hey, if it's not like that, is it worth it? Josiah?
Damn, all right. So, bro, I'm the biggest fucking Cauldron fan of all time. They're this metalcore band. I'm pretty sure from the UK, dude. Holy fucking fuck! I learned their song like by theirs on guitar on their album on what's the stupid album called, bro? Yeah, I'm the biggest fan of the Suicide in the City album, bro. That, oh my God, I've listened to that so many times. I had big inspiration in writing a lot. And I also am a big fan. They fuck with us too on Instagram. A bloodbath in Boston. They're pretty tight. I Saw God too. They fuck with us, and I take big.
Oh, dude, we've had them on the show, dog.
Yeah, dude, I saw it's so peak, dude. I think that we were gonna be on this. It was fire, but yeah, I fuck with them. They fuck with us, and I take big inspiration off their shit. I fuck with Rose Funeral heavy. I saw them live too. I was so stoked to see them live, bro, because they're one of the bit like OGs that I started getting into, like when I first started figuring out, more so about deathcore and stuff. So they're pretty cool. I'm going through my playlist right now, trying to figure out because I have a bunch of covers and stuff, but I'm also a big fan of like these new metalcore bands like Killing Me Softly and then the Tourism Embrace. Those two, they're so peak, bro. They're so fire.
That sounds MySpace. That's sick.
They're, those are like my two. And then Delilah, we saw them, me and her, we saw them, and then my girlfriend over, we all saw them over at the Kingdom Boxing Gym with Katie Went Missing. Those
Ooh.
are big inspiration. But I'm trying to figure out like more so my deathcore inspiration. I just get really inspired by like all the new bands that are coming out right now, and then a bunch of like like Waking the Cadaver before they started coming back and started doing their whole big thing, bro. I was really into them, like really like technically riff wise, and then like getting better at not so using the Chelsea Grin type of riffs. You feel me? The ones that everybody's like to copy because they had these very unique like keep it on their like on your feet type of riffs, and they're always changing shit up and then going back into some groovy shit. I love their style.
And then you got fucking Darko, which is like
Yeah. Oh my God, they're so peak too. They were like one of the first also ones I got into before I get. The thing with Darko.
Oh shit. We lost connection. Briefly, hopefully. Zeph looks done. Let's be real. Zeph looks done with the conversation, at least for tonight. I completely understand.
Got a raid.
Y'all are back.
Our next move is to go turn up at a rave, and I guess that too. I take big. I best a couple. I listen to like hardstyle a lot now. Like I started getting into it a couple months ago because I like to make that here and there. But like TNT and Coon, those two are fire. I fuck with them heavy. And then man, I take it's so corny. I ain't gonna
Well,
go. Y'all are gonna
Josiah, if I may, why don't we attempt to isolate to that of the Rotten Faith album? Like maybe any albums or bands that you wanted to channel into this specific record, because
Oh yeah, no. So yeah, like for that, like even with like what I'm mentioning right now, those like all the bands, those basically, like and even the DJs, like for the intro of Raw and Faith, like that was super like it's a goofy ass hip hop intro with the crowdcore synth EDM intro, and that was right when I was getting to starting to take my producing a little more seriously. We were supposed to have a couple more little fun songs like that on there, but we didn't end up. But with Cauldron, like for iPhone and for Hallway, you can hear the big inspiration about the riffage that I do. The Cauldron has such a nice way of using the harmonic minor and B. Oh my God, dude, the riffage instead of having that 5/7/8 classic, you know what I'm talking about, like the As Blood Runs Back, the fucking Bring Me the Horizon, that type of little era. They have a nice way of using these like big chords and then these fat breakdowns with them. Probably their sound is just so dynamic. I fuck with it, and it helps me like progress music in a way that I didn't even think about progressing. And that really shows in like with iPhone, especially with since that song isn't really breakdown oriented, it really is the breakdown is all the way until the end. It's more so like just a big build up into a heavy ass breakdown, or even with Infatuation. I don't even think there's a breakdown to the end of that song. So that's what Cauldron really helped me develop. And then with a lot of the bands here with like Theorem, that song is really riff based and like it has like some breakdowns, but the really big breakdown again isn't until the end. But it has like this one groovy little part where it's like okay, where it really gets you into it. It really feels like a like a MySpace song. I use that classic the stupid harmonic minor sweep,
if you need to.
and
That's fine.
classic little riffs here and there, like the trill riffs,
You'll
and
just have to let him out.
so that's the big inspiration behind the 602. That's really
Oh,
a Suicide Silence inspired song, heavy, really heavy, inspired by Suicide Silence.
hell yeah. Alrighty.
A
Well,
lot of
Josiah,
inspiration.
I think there's like a very, very expansive catalog of different music that you can channel just into Rotten Faith alone. And therefore, I just need to listen to the album at this point. But um, from the founding member, of course, the one who started this all, I wanted to go ahead and scratch at Zeph's brain a little bit as far as any specific albums, bands, or artists that you think helped you with your contributions to what the album I have yet to listen to.
Well, honestly, I've always wanted lyrics to be really meaningful. So I think that's just something I've done on my own. Beatsta and the other members kind of just composed the music and used their influences. I kind of just wrote the lyrics and see how it sounded. Now I put my input into some, like I like a lot of screamo and post-hardcore influences and riffs like that. I've only recently started getting into deathcore and slam and things like that. So I've mentioned and suggested screamo and post-hardcore influences. Usually I do this. It's usually those influences are show through my vocals and not necessarily through the instruments. So like some screamo bands like Seahorse Choke or maybe not them, but or maybe I'm kind of like
Favorite.
yeah.
Okay.
It's more like or yeah, see, I'm having a brain fart right now.
No, you're good. You're good.
But yeah, it's just the genre in general and the vocal style in a sense.
Okay. Well, as someone who has yet really to sit down and listen to anything by In Faith and Misery, simply because I wanted this to be this is a MySpace revival band who, through conversation and corrected context in conversation, wants to utilize the MySpace revival idea, but also maybe compare more to bands like Make Them Suffer in their earlier catalog, and experimenting not only with MySpace deathcore but MySpace metalcore, possibly even maybe one day integrating piano and more like haunting melodies into there. In reference to that and the brand that you guys have established so far, and the fact that I was just like, yeah, I wanted to get another AZ local act that is up and coming and that plans to embrace the MySpace Revival brand, what would you say, or pardon me, do you do both cleans and heavies on this record, Zeph?
I do. Well,
Wonderful.
I don't do the heavy.
Yeah. Do you do the cleans? I think we don't have all on there, so the cleans not on there, right?
No, the clean isn't on there.
Yeah, so it's just heavy.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
just mainly, yeah.
So we have two different vocalists contributing heavy spectrums to the record, which I think will be even more interesting to listen to because we've had bands like a SoCal local Kawaii core band, Lucrezia, right? They are, I think it's safe to say, they have a pretty outstanding reputation in their niche of applying Ocean's 8 Alaska gent metalcore to Japanese idol culture, right? They're currently cooking up their full length album. If you guys haven't listened to them, you definitely should. Maybe that will give you guys some inspiration for whatever you plan to do next. Who knows? And they are a very, very important band and artist, as well as important friends to this show. They have been since the very beginning. So I totally expected going into this record that there would be cleans and heavies, but instead we have maybe a more MySpace friendly application of Lucrezia with Rotten Faith. And now I'm even more intrigued to attempt through ear to distinguish the difference between Benny, Zeph, and then your third vocalist, which I would argue then compares this band more to franchise acts, even if they are independent, like Angel Maker. So I'm very, very intrigued to listen to this record. And I think this music will help you guys stand out as the MySpace revival wave continues to wash through with bands such as I Saw God, Tracheotomy, Nine Dead, Peacemaker, Caney Went Missing, It Came from Wisconsin, the return of We Are the End, the return, I think, of Rose Funeral, maybe,
Yeah.
and plenty of other bands. Like there are so many projects that are planning to make a name for themselves. And I just hope that we manage to scoop an interview, scoop a conversation with all of them accordingly before they skyrocket into unreachable tiers of the industry. So I'm even more excited to listen to this record. Vocally speaking, though, Miss Zeph, who would you say was an inspiration to the vocal spectrum that you ended up providing in the final product for Rotten Faith? Are there any vocalists you can name off as far as like vaguely comparing your vocal spectrum to?
I tried to do something like Foxtails. I believe their vocalist, she brings I think she brings a lot of emotion in her voice, a lot of like, I don't want to, what I hear, it's a lot of sadness and just built up of emotion, right? You can just hear it in her voice and how it hit it. I can't, I don't know how to describe it, but the way she ends her screaming, it's like in a whiny type of.
A pain vocal, perhaps.
Exactly.
Okay.
What
So
really inspires mine. I'm sorry?
no, you're good. I was just gonna say, perhaps have you listened to the band Spite at all?
Spite?
Spite.
No, I.
Oh shit. Okay. So Spite, Orphan, and reincarnated from Strangled, and maybe Victims. If you haven't listened to any of those bands, and if you're wanting to inflict a more emotionally driven, more pained vocal spectrum, those could be bands for you to listen to that might help you harness your spectrum. Now,
Okay.
I don't know if my mic is gonna pick this up, but I've been working on something pain. Um, I'm kind of nervous to actually try to project this out there because I've never tried to do this. Like that's the closest I can get to a pain spectrum. And then once you lift up the tongue, like that's kind of my skinwalker shriek. I'm not sure if the mic picked that up at all, but nobody's really heard that on a vocal cover, but that's going to be on my next vocal cover, and that's literally what I heard a skinwalker do up on the Mogiam Rim. So I'm not sure if you guys heard the entirety of that, but if you're planning to do more pain shit, oh my god, you need to listen to Spite, you need to listen to Orphan, Victims, and maybe a an additional placement would be King 810 from Flint, Michigan. But if you were inspired by Foxtails, which is what, like a screamo band or
Yes, very.
okay. So I need to listen to Foxtails to see if I can also connect that bridge. But if you're trying to do a more pain vocal spectrum, um, I guess for once, for starters, listen to those bands, but also just listen to Skinwalker found footage reels, and you'll be able to hear that within the myth and legend of what Skinwalkers are, they try to sound like victims in pain. They try to sound like people asking for help, just like, can someone help me? There's someone after me. Like they always like you hear it and you're like you get chills on your arm because you think someone's in trouble, but they actually use that as a lure to make you wander into the woods, and then they get you. That's the whole myth and legend. And I've heard this shit up on the Mogiam Rim, and it went from a coyote bark, a coyote yip, to that shit, and it was terrible. Not only that, but this thing managed to completely or successfully replicate my buddy, the one other person I was with that night. in doing this. And even my skeptic buddy was scared shitless. He's like, is that what we're supposed to be listening out for? And I'm like, no, go back to bed, because I was too drunk to care. But I'm now so much more excited to listen to this album, to listen to this record. And I hope that I'm able to connect the bridge and now have an additional vocalist to add to that tier of successful pain vocal expression. But yeah, I'll definitely listen to Foxtails as well. So thank you for mentioning them. Are there any other albums or artists or vocalists that you would mention in that same inspiring catalog?
You know what? Let me see. Because there are a few. Oh, all my wishes were thrown down a well and should either die there or stay there. It's another screamo band.
That's the band name?
All my wishes were thrown down a well, died.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Talk about an acronym name. The only longer one in that case would be Zav, like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, and I don't know, there's some other ones like I Hate Myself. Love that band.
Okay.
Well, it's
Love
just,
it too.
it's just essentially just screamo influences, youth novel and Shin Guard. Well, Shin Guard isn't necessarily screamo. I think Shin Guard is like, I don't know. Shin Guard is not really screamo, but yeah, just bands like those just kind of giving me motivation and influence for my vocal style.
Hell yeah. Well, definitely do me a favor. And when you have the time in the near future, even despite the fact that tonight most likely will not be the concluding of the recording for the session, maybe next Saturday, we can jump in and finish this up with the depersonalized questionnaire. Despite all of that, please send me the links for all of these bands. That way I can jump down the rabbit hole of the bands that inspired you to inflict, right? Like a wound, a pained wound, an open wound, your vocal contributions to you guys' first full-length record. It'll give me context and potentially, who knows, maybe these same bands that you provide me the links for are some of the next bands on the show. How cool would that be, right? For both of our sakes. Just like, you know what? She recommended me this band, and now we can say we've had a screamo band on the show. Awesome. Thank you, Miss Zeph, for quoting and essentially recommending some artists for me to listen to as far as your vocal spectrum, as I have not heard a single song by this band yet, except for the audio excerpts that you guys featured in your posts as you guys were preparing to unveil Rotten Faith. With that being said, it is now 10:02 p.m. on the 14th of February, also known as Valentine's Day. I do believe that that will be the conclusion, just for tonight, of our Crosscast commentary. Good evening. 2 weeks later, sharp, on the 28th of February. It is currently 6:17 p.m. I feel like a terrible host because last time I didn't exactly start the show, whether the BTS segment or the people segment, by asking how our guest was. Like, you would think I have the slightest shred of hospitality and just trying to make sure that they're comfortable and that they're ready to go. So, Josiah, Zeph, how are y'all doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I don't know about her. We kind of just broke into her room and woke her up and was like, "Hey, it's time. We got to go."
You're like, "Hey, it's time to finish the session." She's like, no. But
I heard.
well, now after getting through the people segment as well as the BTS segment with Benny, Josiah, and Zeph, tonight we look to conclude the Anatomy Crosscast and its first date session with In Faith and Misery by diving headfirst into the anatomy segment, quote, the entity segment, Under the Skin and Slingshot. Now, the anatomy is something that I brought back into the forefront of this show because I realized something. I realized that, like, I had not been leaning into the Anatomy Crosscast brand for years now, really, and I wasn't really developing questionnaire that could help then distinguish this show from others. So, starting with the anatomy, who is the blood, bones, heart, mind, and other important things, other vital parts that make one entity that is in Faith and Misery in this conversation? Who do y'all think are the most important parts, being blood, bones, heart, and mind of In Faith and Misery, and why?
Like people wise or
People wise, as far as like the members. Y'all both point at each other. Now, who's who?
it's really like all the behind the scenes, all the producing, all the talking to people, all the coordinating, all the driving around. Like he's like the carrier in the Fortnite box.
Oh no.
So, Zeph, if you were to designate one major part of a living animal or a living creature's body, that being either bones, blood, heart, or mind, just to keep it broader, what would Josiah be if you had to choose one of those?
Probably all of the veins. There's like thousands of them.
True. True. I like that answer. And veins, not that I'm a scientist or a physiologist or a doctor, nurse, whatever, at all, but I can agree that when it comes to networking, when it comes to the fine details that help the blood flow throughout the body, therefore also keeping the heart pumping, allowing the body to sustain warmth, because perhaps we're isolating this to that of a Homo sapien body, not a reptile, not a snake, where they can survive at colder temperatures even within, but more of like a human sentience. Veins are indeed the fine details of why there is blood running in the first place and why there is warmth, why there is a sense of safety, and maybe even a beckoning, a call, a drive to survive in an environment. And in this case, I think the environment would just be the MySpace Revival Scene. Josiah, what would you designate Zeph as?
Zeph definitely is like the heart of the band. Like first, like if it weren't for her, like we wouldn't have the band. Like if you don't got a heart, you can't like. So without her, like we wouldn't be like here at all. Like this whole thing probably wouldn't even like existed. And then
True.
like she keeps like pretty much everybody in the band motivated. Like even Benny, he wants to like have our next big song because Infatuation is right now. So it motivates him to do music. Our drummer gets motivated because he loves the songs with her on them. So he really, so he'll go crazy trying to learn her songs and stuff. And then she's the most level-headed, especially like when we sometimes during some practices, bro. It's a little rough, but she's always like the one that's kind of just chilling. We'll all be like stressed out, but like she'll just be chilling.
Well, in that case, then, wouldn't Zeph fit better as the mind of the band instead of the heart? Because even metaphorically speaking, when you talk about the body and you're talking about some, like an entity, an intelligent mind, an intelligent person making decisions, it's usually not emotionally driven. It's not going to be a decision from the heart, but instead the mind.
Bars. Big bars.
So maybe then Zeph ends up being the mind and the consciousness of the band. After all, she made the reality of In Faith and Misery and its legacy lore so far. She made that dream into reality, and therefore, even subconsciously or down to consciousness, she was the beginning of all of that. She was responsible for its conception. So I would definitely like headcanon, be like, yeah, Zeph is definitely the mind. But like sometimes the heart isn't designated to one person. It just happens to be the epicenter that keeps everything running. It is the motor. But even with machines, a motor can't function until it's properly placed. One, two. The heart, the motor in the machine doesn't function until it has a purpose. And I think that's also the distinguishment between the heart and mind. But I do like those answers. And, you know, maybe some people would think the answers themselves to be typical, but you never know. It could be, for example, the drummer who ends up being the heart because they, with their drum patterns, they replicate a heartbeat, right? And once the music gets more intense, you know, the blast beats and stuff, that's adrenaline. That's just pure adrenaline. Or the guitarist ends up being the heartbeat. The guitarist could be the bones. Like, that's the reason I like asking that question. And I feel foolish for having forgotten about questions like that for such a long time. But briefly continuing upon the anatomy segment, with the designated roles and parts of the body that you Josiah gave Zeph, Zeph gave Josiah, subconsciously, do you think this was decided from the beginning of their efforts in the band? Meaning, has that kind of been with you for a long time, thinking, Josiah, that Zeph was the mind or heart of the band, being that she was the founding member? This is also, I think, a more raw and authentic opportunity to like kind of figure out like what you think about each other without turning into a therapist or some shit. Like,
I mean, yeah. So for like, all right, how do I put it? So what's the base question? Let me start that real quick.
so the anatomy part B was your role, your designation for each other as the part of the body. Do you think this was decided from the beginning of their efforts in the band, or is this kind of like a newer idea that's being brought to life during this show, I guess?
I'd say so. Kind of from the jump, it was really more so we didn't have like we all kind of just were winging it from the jump, and then took a break. So it wasn't really like destined from the start because in Faith and Misery wasn't really supposed to be anything that was like serious. It was supposed to be like
Right.
drop something online and then did. But over time, once we started playing music, it kind of, I guess, in the second bit of like our phase, yeah, it came to be because then once we had music, it all kind of just worked. Once we found out stuff that she was comfortable with, like writing and singing over, and then once Benny came along, and then once our drummer started like getting better at learning our songs, and then once we got like a second guitarist, and now we have a good filling basis, like it kind of just pieced together real smoothly. But at the beginning, definitely not. Like not at all. Like it sucked at the beginning. Like we spent a good couple bucks putting in like practice spaces and not writing anything. Like just sitting there like
Right. And that's the thing too. I think about a more authentic birth, let alone a conception for an idea or a being, is that at the beginning, maybe the parent wasn't ready to bring to life this idea, this entity. So there's a lack of confidence. And in more morbid examples, maybe even postpartum depression. Like, that shit happens all the time in real life. And not even just for humans. I'm sure it happens a lot more than needs to be mentioned in the animal kingdom, in the more simpler forms of sentience and consciousness. However, over time, once there was potential that was manifesting itself without one person being involved, really, it just happened. The numbers started piling up. You felt that you could take this more seriously. In the analogy and the comparison to a sentient being, then you're like, oh, that this thing is actually like hopscotching over obstacles as if it was level ground. So I do love that honest answer. Zeph, as far as your designation for Josiah as the veins, this isn't to ask, like, from the beginning, did you designate him as the veins? No, nothing like that, because that's pretty silly and that's a pretty redundant question. But more like, from the beginning of his contributions to the project, did you see him as being very vital to the band, and later then converting his purpose, his contributions, to the analogy of him being the veins of In Faith and Misery?
Yeah, I think so, because even from the jump, he 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 he's good at coordination, I should say, especially with music, So, and he's picking up with producing, even when he started it, like, how do I put it? I just say he's like the backbone, right? Like the vertebrae, vein, whatever. He just kind of makes everything work. You know what I mean?
Right.
So,
And so, being that y'all have designations for yourselves that more or less you both agree on, which then alludes to mutualism, it alludes to agreeance, and just like, yeah, we're in the same boat with that. There's no question that Josiah is the backbones, let alone possibly the veins of this band, and then Zeph is either the heart or mind. Now, of course, I could expand upon this and have you both attempt, like, improvise and designate the other members, even that we haven't had on the show, with body parts or these major components that make a body. But what I want to do instead for now is isolate it to Benny, and let's see if we get the same response from you both. Between being that the veins and vertebrate are taken now by Josiah, and then the heart and mind, more or less, is taken by Zeph, what would Benny be for In Faith and Misery?
I was going to say, since the heart's taken, because brain, the way that you put it was really good. But if I would give heart like second in this, but for me, I'd say like Benny's like the ribs of the band. Like he's keeping everything strong and like protected. Like he really like wants this shit. Like he's been trying to search for something like this for a while. So like he really is trying to make sure like that we're doing shit. And he was the one that kind of really got me into like trying to book us into shows, because he was like I like this shit. Like when are we gonna start practicing? When are we gonna start doing this? Like I want to do this. He shows up to practice. He keeps in contact with his best like as possible. So it's like I really feel like he keeps like us also motivated and strong to continue to make sure we do our best and everything and keep the like band as supported as possible.
No, I like that. I really like that answer, because not only did you not generalize it or broaden it to bones, but you're like, nah, dude, Benny's the rib cage. He's the protective encasement of the heart, of the lungs, of most of the major organs in any living creature's body. That's the epicenter of what makes it run. And if any of the things inside the rib cage fail, then you're doomed. Like you're screwed. Zeph, would you agree with Benny being designated as the rib cage? And if not, I want to hear your headcanon designation for Benny.
I do agree he is the rib cage, definitely the structure. He helps give versatility, especially for vocals. He has that heavier side of a style, while I have the more of the lighter side, more screamo side. So it definitely helps give our music, our songs, versatility of that.
Hell yeah. Well, I love that we have now designated the veins, the heart and mind, and then the rib cage of the sentience, the collective hive mind entity that happens to be called In Faith and Misery. That will be the anatomy. Until next time. Now, the entity, or the band. I think the entity just sounds better. It sounds edgier. But these are the more clickbait questions that I think best fit the two founding members of this project. Question 1. In the entity, how was the name In Faith and Misery decided?
To be honest, at the time I was listening to this band called
Was it Pure Faith?
In Fear and Faith.
Yeah, In Fear.
Okay, In Fear and Faith. And I was like, wait, I want to do something like that. So I just randomly blurted something out, and then I made the Instagram account, and it just took off from there, honestly.
I messed with the name heavy. It wasn't even like a disagreement. I was like, damn, IF&M? Hold on. This is fire, right?
I love that. I love that.
And then we've been using that since.
Hell yeah. Now, this is kind of an extension upon that question 1 that was sent over to you guys through email in the questionnaire. So I don't mind if this is like, we don't know. But to extend upon that briefly, in the beginning, just like naming a child right when it's born, you don't exactly think about the name too much, though I think that there's a little bit of thought in there. If the couple, if the two parent entities have enough chemistry, they're like, I really want a son named Tobias, and it's like, dude, it's the 21st century. We're not naming our kid Tobias. It's like, okay, I guess Toby, like, and they, maybe they have that conflict for a little bit, or debate, I would say, not quarrel or conflict, but debate. Now, giving it a little time, and perhaps after having released Rotten Faith, some bands have intricate stories behind the names of the band. There's a meaning established later on. Is there a meaning or a story behind the name that maybe correlates with the album Rotten Faith, or is it still kind of like, yeah, it's just an improvised name?
Yeah, I think it is an improvising thing. We're just kind of going off of what we already kind of got going on. So,
like,
No
from
worries.
the we weren't even supposed to like really do nothing for when me and her like met and started like talking about doing music. It was really just like, let's just drop something and then just give it whatever, and then we just pick something, and then from there it kind of just snowballed, and we're here where we are today. So that's really I don't know. If we had enough time to really just be like, what's a deep name? What really? Maybe it would have came, but like me say, I was like, damn, this would smack on a flyer. All right, bet.
Which I think In Faith and Misery slaps equally as hard as any intricate name that y'all could come up with. So I definitely like it. Now, I guess this is another question that could correlate better with the anatomy, but I'm still just going to throw it into the entity segment this time. If there were two bands that you would say are the parent bands for the DNA of this project, In Faith and Misery, this could also correlate with the for fans of demographic that almost every band does these days. That way, maybe they can attract more fans if they associate themselves with others, right? This is then for fans of, but what would you think are the two first, quote, parent bands for In Faith and Misery?
Like 2 for 2 or like 1 and...
Let's go ahead and just have y'all both do 2, and let's see how close we can get.
So me personally, since I do like a good majority of the writing, I would say like instrumentally writing. I don't do a lot of lyric writing, so it would probably be different for her lyric. But instrumentally wise, I mentioned this last time. I'm a stupid big culture friend. You could hear it in Infatuation, and like those are 2 songs I really inspired by. Those guys. They helped me get a lot better at being good at alternating out of B minor, bro, and doing some cool hardcore stuff in between. They're so good. They're just so transitioning to riff stuff.
Okay. So I think there's a little bit of noise cancellation going on as per the Zoom settings. So what was the first band you mentioned?
Oh yeah, no, it's Cauldron. Cauldron, that's
Cauldron.
number
Okay.
1. Yeah, let me see if I can fix this noise cancel thing. Oh yeah, noise removal. All right. Can you hear?
Yep.
All right. And then second one, I would say probably Suicide Silence because I know she fucks with Suicide Silence heavy, and 602 is definitely a very Suicide Silence themed disc song. I've got a lot of people saying, damn, it reminds them of that. So I was like, all right, cool.
Hell
But
yeah.
I'd say that's a good second place.
So for you, it would be Cauldron and Suicide Silence. Zeph,
Yeah.
you're up.
I'd say first one is Chelsea Grin with the instrumentals. When I first started listening to like slam and death metal, and when I first started listening to his music that he made, it's not that chorus verse, chorus two, verse two, maybe bridge, chorus done type of song. It's like there's different parts, and some of the parts don't even repeat in the song. It just keeps going. There's no repeats, and I'm like, what type of structure is this? What type of song? And then I hear that a lot in Chelsea Grin, so I'm like, okay, I see what's going on. So I'd say first for the first one is Chelsea Grin, and then for me, lyric wise, I want to say Hedonic. They broke up. I'm not sure why, and I don't think their music is on Spotify or any platforms anymore. But they're another screamo band, and their lyrics, from what I've listened to, is pretty meaningful and deep. And I just love all around meaningful and deep literature, poems, books, songs, and that's where I bloom in terms of expressing myself. So I'd say Hedonic and Chelsea Grin.
Interesting. So definitely no bands that were agreed upon, but were like, no bands that ended up sinking. So, speaking for the parent bands of this project, there was some fucking affairs going on. That's okay. Sometimes, some entities, some human beings on this planet are created not so traditionally. There's nothing wrong with that. So, continuing them technically with the entity, but then actually getting into under the skin, really, if this is something that y'all are interested in. I wanted to go ahead and ask if there are any stories. As Zeph, you said you were a big fan of deeper, meaningful literature, let alone lyricism. So, would you say Rotten Faith is a testament to those that literature that you're a fan of and your attempt at writing it, or would that probably be for the next release?
For Infatuation, absolutely. And I'm not sure if I should say this, but we're gonna be playing another song that's now on an album live in March called Hallway. That those lyrics are also pretty deep. So yeah, I'd say whenever I'm writing my lyrics for the band, I make sure it is deep. Absolutely.
Okay. So then would you say that Rotten Faith has any consistent lyrical themes? Like, are there multiple stories that you would like to tell the world about in writing the lyrics for the songs on Rotten Faith? Or probably not, like maybe it's just not the best time or the best release to lyrically dissect?
I don't think for this album, I don't think it is the best time to lyrically dissect because Benny also writes his own lyrics and like completely different.
Right.
So unless we get together and really try to come up with something for a project or an album, there's nothing really coordinating.
I see. Okay. No worries. And therefore I appreciate your phantom transparency, a personality and demographic and philosophy in mind that I always try to manifest through my own narrative, let alone these conversations that are then named the Anatomy Crosscast. So even if there is not an under the skin segment for Rotten Faith, you said Infatuation, which is on that album. does have what you believe to be some deeper lyrical themes. So, if not the entirety of the album, what can you tell me about Infatuation before I listen to it that I can attempt to tether to as a lyricist myself?
So, at first, I was like, okay, give me a word. And then I think Beeps just said infatuation. I was like, okay, first of all, what does that mean? And I looked it up, and it's essentially obsession.
A short-lived obsession.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, I can do something with this. So infatuation is basically just someone like deeply in love with someone else or something else.
Right.
What are the first 4 lines? Infatuation, I can't live without you. My own salvation, impossible to undo.
I see you, Josiah.
Oh my god, it's a banger, bro. Oh my god. That's a banger.
Yeah.
Hey, if you can't appreciate the lyrics of your own songs like that, what the fuck are you doing musically? If you can't be like infatuation, like you probably shouldn't be in a band.
I'm screaming it just out of nowhere. Infatuation! It's so tired. It's so tired.
No, I love it. Okay. So therefore, it just continues, and possibly in the moment of writing the song, the lyrics weren't written before, the song name wasn't decided before. This was actually rather improvised, which I think is equally as fascinating. You were given a word, infatuation. What the fuck does that even mean? You dove headfirst into just the word alone, and then eventually put together some lyrics. So after having been given that word and improvising the lyrics, what would you say was what would you say made the song Infatuation relevant as far as your contributions to a deeper lyrical world?
Well, usually when it comes to writing lyrics, I write it about myself and more my feelings, my experiences, blah, blah, blah. But since I've never really had a deep obsession or love for someone, guys, I don't think so. Well, okay, maybe, I don't know. But not...
We won't expose you. We won't expose
Oh
Okay,
yeah, no doxing.
But anyways, I haven't at the time.
At
At the time.
red car.
Car.
Red car.
Red car.
I was not infatuated with him. I
Slash the tires.
was not. Okay, he did me. Okay, I was extremely upset, so that's why I reacted in that way. But I just.
Sorry.
I correlated it with how I would write something meaningful
Right.
for me. So I made sure I stuck with the theme, and I just kind of how do you say it? I used what I knew, what I know in terms of writing music, and attached it with the theme, and just kind of went from there.
Right. So with Infatuation, then, what I'm getting right now, and I really do appreciate your authentic reaction, looking back in time, both of you talking about more personal stuff, and you're like, I was not infatuated, and you're just screaming and shit. Like, in that case, perhaps you have yet to experience what being infatuated and almost romantically obsessed with someone is like, and there's nothing wrong with that. So therefore, you actually end up finding yourself in a position as a lyricist to look from an outsider view, and it's almost like going to the zoo and looking into an enclosure for an animal that, I don't know, probably should be in fucking Africa, like a lion, a giraffe, but of course Arizona is a terrible example, or the best example, because it is another desert, right? So then you're looking into these enclosures, you're seeing these animals, and you're like, I have no idea what it would like to be what it would be like to run into one of these things in the wild. Like, there would be no protective barrier, but ultimately the analogy is to continue upon that outsider perspective. So then you had to write this song as someone who you don't believe has experienced infatuation. How then did you end up piecing together the song? Like, what are some things, without of course doxing yourself? There's like, that's not what we do here. But it's like, what do you feel you connected to this song from an improvised word?
Codependency. I tend to do that a lot, especially when it's with people that I fancy. So, okay. So, I'd say, I wouldn't say it has gone to that level, but
Right.
it's definitely came close because I'd say I have attachment issues. So
I
once
see.
I set on you, it's kind of, and that's not a good thing. But, yeah, it's, and I like using figurative language, mainly similes and metaphors.
Right.
So, like my own salvation or give me sensation. You are the light inside me, right?
Right.
So it's just like, it's like expressing your feelings in a more aggressive way.
Yes, exaggerated way.
Yeah.
Right. And that's honestly, I think when it comes to writing songs about topics and ideas, occurrences, that could be a better word for this. Occurrences that you are not yet familiar with. I think it's important to try and, at the very least, depict in exaggeration, almost in a bloating of literacy, a bloating of words, a dramatization. I mean, exaggeration is the best word for that. Like, sometimes you have to improvise and figure out, like, if not with your own real life occurrences that could connect better to the song, it's like, well, what could happen if I found myself in that position? And that's equally as important as a lyricist. I know there are plenty of songs that I plan to write, which literally I'll just name tracks and then I'll have in parentheses, like, this is down to a niche, down to the minute detail what I want this song to be about. For example, there's Epicenter, which really will require me to have continued experiences with Arizona local paranormal and supernatural entities. But I have a vague theory, and something has been telling me within my gut since my last couple of paranormal experiences up on the Mogollon Rim, that Arizona is actually the epicenter and the battleground between a more positive and more negative supernatural intelligence. So the song Epicenter came about, but it's going to be mentioning and referencing the Superstition Mountains, Sedona, Winslow, Arizona, the opening where apparently, as per depicted in the movie Fire in the Sky, one of the best documented UFO abductions where the abductee returned, traumatized, but he returned, that was up in Winslow. The Mogollon Rim, where I'm pretty sure there's at least one skinwalker that's killed 7 people and nobody knows about it. Probably some federal agents know about it, and that could be one piece of the massive puzzle of the missing 411 case, which is just people constantly disappearing and under undisclosed circumstances. What I'm trying to say is Epicenter, in theory, is supposed to be me thinking and explaining with my gut that Arizona might be the epicenter of something massive. There might be a whole entire civilization under the Superstition Mountains. But what will be really fun to do with that song is cater to a more epic, more glorious, more triumphant metalcore subgenre. And the song will be for fans of August Burns Red, While She Sleeps, Wage War, Silent Planet, and a couple others, while it's also bringing in the dredgy, doomy heaviness of Thal. And this might be a song that I get commissioned as an instrumental to make for Mafra, who is a singer that I'm trying to get involved with my band, who's really making it big right now. She's getting a lot of traction, a lot of following, and rightfully so. So, lyricist to lyricist, yeah, sometimes you have to improvise and write stuff about things and about ideas that you don't have any clue about, and then maybe later in time it will act as a time capsule. That one song could act as a time capsule as you then experience what you were theorizing about in that song. You experience it later in real life, and then maybe there's a sequel to Infatuation, lyrically speaking, who knows. But still, I like your creative process. I really do, and I relate to that as a lyricist. With that being said, that will be the end of any and all commentary and questionnaire regarding Under the Skin. And now we are in our final part of the Anatomy Crosscast, that being Slingshot. One of the things, I guess, one of the final questions, though, regarding Rotten Faith would be, why did Rotten Faith become an album instead of an EP?
We got a lot of songs. I wrote a lot of songs, and they got them done. I was like, "Oh, I bet." I mean, the more songs they got done, I was like, "Shit, more songs we can just put out." And I don't want to just drop a bunch of singles, so I want to just give as many music to people as possible out of minutes, and then that gives us time to start dialing on the songs that people like, start learning what people do and don't fuck with, and then seeing what people fuck with at shows, playing different songs, and then going for there on our next release. And then, yeah.
Hell yeah. Zeph, any additional commentary?
I agree. There was definitely a flood of new music Beepster had, and we just, it kind of had to be an album.
Fair enough. Okay. Yeah, I mean, if you have enough creative flow going on and there's an abundance of creation, why not just unleash a full length, something that more people can pay attention to, despite the modern day lack of attention span and stuff with social media and doom scrolling and brain rot and shit. Like, who's to say that releasing an album right out the gate not only is an act of confidence, an act of trust in your own creative process, but hopefully it brings more people in.
Yeah. We had Infatuation and Arteries. Then afterwards we did like a couple little drops, but then like we just decided to chill and then take those down and then drop the album a couple months later because we had so much. People rocked with the first stuff, so we're like, all right, why not? And we just put it on.
Fair enough. And continuing upon our first Crosscast that we now recorded 2 weeks ago sharp, I still haven't listened to Rotten Faith just yet, but like this additional context and these additional stories, this insight that I'm acquiring and absorbing like a sponge, it makes me all the more intrigued and eager to listen to this album as soon as possible. So yeah, I look forward to listening to it. Slingshot. Okay. This final segment of the Anatomy Crosscast with In Faith and Misery for now, it alludes to the following. This is constructive criticism for the show, as well as an opportunity for networking and the near future of this show, aside from this conversation. So, I wanted to give you guys an opportunity. Benny's not here, so if he wants to, he can just DM me and talk shit online. I won't mind. But what did you both think about all of the time that you've spent so far on this show? What are some things you enjoyed, and what are some things that you would recommend? That way future guests are able to be more comfortable with jumping on the show, let alone enjoy these types of conversations.
Honestly, it was very welcoming. And I got comfortable fairly quickly, considering I'm an introvert and I have anxiety and I'm weird. So, I'd say it was good. It was nice. Okay. and your personality brings out others' personalities, and it's just it doesn't feel like a podcast. It doesn't feel like a podcast. It feels like a I don't know. It kind of feels like oh, you're getting to know me and I'm getting to know you, and we're just happen to be recording or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Like what? So yeah, that's just what I think.
Any things that either of you, I mean, right, of course, Josiah, intro, constructive criticism.
Honestly, this was structured pretty well. I think it's just because we had a few members that, were here for the first time, 3. It was a little longer, but honestly, it was good. It's good hearing everybody, At least this was our first time doing any sort of, like, all of us doing any sort of type of thing like this, so it was pretty refreshing not being, like, nerve-wracked. Like, it was just like a chill little conversation. It wasn't you just being like, so I dug into, like, your guys' past, and now I'm going to ask you guys. So I was like, oh, it's like one of these interviews. No, I was literally just, like, sitting down talking to a bro. It's like a bar talk, dog. Like, you're just chilling.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to attempt to reinforce that. Like, of course, I mention it no matter what during these conversations, during these interviews, if you want to call them that. But really, I'm just trying to make band interview podcasts more loose, more casual, more fun, and something that maybe acts as a first interaction between me and a band, where when I see these guys in person, if I ever do this year or sometime in the near future, I don't want it to be a, hey, what'd you think of the show when you were on? Like, did you actually like it? And, I'm making it all awkward and soulless in person. It's like, no, I want, if not all, 80 to 90% of the conversations, the networking, because that's what it's called in the biz. I want the networking to be a little bit more honest to these guys are my friends. These guys are people that I talked with for multiple hours on end. And because of that, I showed up to their show and they're like, yo, Sean Cross is here. Oh! Like, that type of shit. Because I've had those moments now. And I've had those moments with people that I never thought I would have them with. For the Fallen Dreams is Chad Rulig, man. I think that's been one of my favorite experiences, seeing them live at the End in downtown Nashville back in 2022, if not early 2023, before me and my crew over in Murfreesboro, Tennessee moved back. Dude, like, it was the beginning, and it was just like, it was a wake-up call when I was just jamming out to what a lot of people considered their new dad rock friendly metalcore album, their self-titled album that they released through A Rising Empire. I was just jamming out because I really like these songs, and Chad Rulig himself is like, hey, Sean Cross, I see you, and like he gets right back into it. I'm like, like, that's so fucking cool. Not only that, but I've gone to certain shows, I think it was back in 23, right when I got back. And I had someone recognize me in person. They're like, wait, are you Sean Cross? I'm like, yeah. He's like, dude, can I get a picture? I'm like, wait, really? Like, it was a great moment, man. And mind you, he went into the pit, came back out, and he showed me that he got punched in the face, so one of his teeth was in his hand, and there was blood and shit. He just tucked his tooth into his pocket and bounced. I'm like, dude, are you okay? He's like, yeah, I'm fine. And he just disappeared again. But those type of experiences are everything to me, man. It's not about the fame. It's not about the notoriety. It's maybe about the reputation through integrity, phantom transparency, and authenticity. If a band that I've hosted is doing some sus shit, which I've done in the past, I'll call them out on it. I'm like, hey, dude, like, what the fuck? Even if I'm not that well sewn into the music industry and this world of music that we all know and love, it's like when people I know are given fake opportunities to join a bigger band that they've been wanting to be a part of, and then they have that opportunity swept out from under them. No explanation, no context, and then you find out that they weren't the only person that was given this opportunity. Not only them, but someone else you've also hosted on the show and worked with were given the same opportunity but as if they were the only people being given that opportunity. So it's like, yeah, mind you, I burned a bridge with the band, one of the first bands I ever hosted on this show, but I was literally not, like, they claimed it was clout chasing. I said, no, like, that was just a really shitty thing to do. Like, why would you say something and be like, yo, we want you to be a part of this band and no one else, and then swipe out the opportunity from out under their legs? I'm like, no, that's shitty. That's shitty. Like, that's not cool. So then me and Finn, the Orking, one of my co-hosts, we went through that process and we were called clout chasing clowns for it. I'm like, no, dude, we're not doing this for the fame. We're not doing this for the infamy. I know rage bait exists, but that's not what this is. And instead it was just like, hey, that wasn't a cool thing to do. Do better in the future. And we just got called clout chasing clowns for it because they were deflecting or something. So it's like, my point is, I want the Anatomy Crosscast to always be a greater level, greater and beyond myself, surpassing me as an individual. And that's also why I have 3 co-hosts. It's like, I want this to be a means, a more authentic means for all of us to connect with so many bands around the world, man. Like, there are very few countries we have yet to touch. We have yet to interview bands from. So it's like, if we can have a global reach of just authentic and more intimate interviewing and podcasting, that's all I really care about. If we can manage to turn it into a sustainable part-time job level business for all of us, that would be even better, because that means we could devote more time to this and then the show would be less stressful, let alone for me. But, you know, the only stressful part is just trying to be consistent, trying to keep up with the momentum and trying to continue to be relevant, because everybody loses interests and they lose it pretty quickly. So that's enough of that. That's enough of me ranting about, like, that authenticity that you guys were able to confirm, and thank you for being another artist who was able to confirm that for us. Slingshot, right? This is the true Slingshot. Parday briefly discussed the future. Shout out to any bands or people, if applicable, for everything that's transpired so far for In Faith and Misery.
Shout out to Medusa. Fuck yeah. Oh my god, we love Medusa, bro. We're supposed to have a split coming with them. That's coming in the future. I don't know fucking when we're going to guitars decide to work. And then shout out Bogies. They've been getting us on some good ass shows. Oh my god, without them, I don't even know what we'd be playing. So, like, to thank God to Bogies, and, you know, shout out. Oh, you know, shout out everybody who didn't make it. Shout out D-Rod, shout out E, you know, shout out Benny, even though he was here, you know, for the first couple hours, he didn't make it. But shout out to all of them. You know, and then for future, we just plan on keep doing music. I don't know. That's really for on my end. Like, just write more music, send it to them, and then whenever we're ready to drop it.
Hell yeah, Ms. Zeph.
He does all the networking, so he pretty much covered that.
Right.
Shout out Lexi for being our, you know, taxi driver, driving us around.
Yes, shout out my girlfriend driver.
It's awesome. Thank you, Lexi, for all of your help with this process.
She brings the car, and then I get the keys and do the steering.
No, I love that. Okay, and it's a team effort. Like, many bands, I don't think are, like, they get too jaded and they get too exhausted and fatigued from the overall process of being a band before they have opportunities like that. They're like, later on, just like, oh shit, I forgot to mention my wife. But, like, bands are getting better at that, which is nice. So it's awesome to hear. So after any applicable shout outs, for the sake of networking, just really paying a moment of respect, if you will, to all of those that helped make this possible and make In Faith and Misery a relevant enough AZ local MySpace Revival deathcore band, an experimental but deathcore band, to then have Instagram recommended to my algorithm, my FYP. Now we got this is probably my favorite part of the show. It really is. When it's not Under the Skin or the BTS segment. What band would you want to see on the Anatomy Crosscast in the future, and why?
Medusa,
Medusa.
The fucking boys on here. They're so chill. They're chill. They write some hard ass music, and they supported us from the jump, like since birth, like since conception. They have been here all behind our backs, saying we've been there behind theirs. So I'd like to see them, on the same spot that we were at. That'd be super sick. And I don't know where you want to go with that. That's all you. I'd love to see that.
I don't really talk to anyone. But you know what? Anyone who's supporting us, bro, thank you. And I wish to see you, go as far as we can go, and we are gonna go. So.
What band though? What band would you like to hear? If you were to see.
It's like fuck.
Try to see if you can get that. Find that one band that you mentioned earlier that's like gone.
Canonic?
Yeah, see if you can get them on here.
Oh.
That'd be a challenge. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe, because maybe they broke up for a reason.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Sometimes that does happen, yeah. Well, if not any bands that you personally know, what are some bands or musicians that you listen to, that you enjoy, that you would want to have their stories told here on the show the same way we did for you so far?
Anyone missing?
Oh, that's a banger. True. We got a show coming with them.
Yeah.
Oh.
Katie went missing.
Do you know who else is on it? I forgot.
On the flyer?
No, the Katie show. The flyer hasn't came out, so I don't know if it's completed, but I know we're on
No, I don't.
tomorrow. But yeah.
I'm trying to think of bands that are active that I listen to.
Cinema?
Cinema, bro! I Promise the World, bro! Yes.
I Promise the World, yeah. That could be fun. Sorry, I don't mean to put so much pressure. It was in the questionnaire.
I'm just trying to think, like, I don't remember. That's all I got.
Okay, that's okay. So we got Medusa, Katie Went Missing, and I Promise the World. And then, we mentioned that band that you were talking about that broke up, and we're like, it might be hard to reach, and it might be for a good reason. So, I mean, even if it's 3 bands, that's 3 extra potential episodes this year. Now, for any that you happen to not remember right now, but maybe after the session you're like, oh, I forgot to mention this band, you can always just DM me the Instagram links, any and all social media links for these bands.
Rocket Launcher.
Rocket Launcher?
Walk It.
Walk It. Okay.
That's what I was gonna say.
It's literally just Katie Went Missing. They got like an alter ego. It's like deathcore, and then the other one's like metalcore, mathcore.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
Katie Went Missing so good. Rocket Launcher so good. Their guitarist shreds. He was nominated for one of the best guitarists of the year on like the Brutal podcast nominations.
Yeah.
Really?
He's fucking nuts.
He
Dude
is.
shreds. Like he's nuts.
Insane.
Okay. So, in that case, Medusa, Katie Went Missing, I Promise the World, and Rocket Launcher. Which, fuck yeah. That's 4 bands, and as far as I'm concerned, I should probably limit the amount of bands to like 4 or 5, because the thing is, yeah, from an outsider perspective, it's like, whoa, these are all potential Crosscast bands, but at the same time, it's like, now we have like 40 in the first 2 months of 2026. I'm like, I don't know if I can keep up with all of it. But most likely I will just stop reaching out to bands myself, and it's like, we'll tag them, and if they're interested, they'll reach out. Like, I don't need to overwork myself to the bone, especially when I've reached out to bands recently, and on the night that we were planning to record session, they're like, we're good. I'm like, dude, what? Like, I planned a whole night for y'all, including a drinking game, but that's besides the point. So, we have Medusa, Katie Went Missing, I Promise the World, and Rocket Launcher. Ladies and gentlemen, and everything possibly in between, it is currently 7:13 p.m. on the 28th of February. That will be the end of the Anatomy Crosscast, and Zeph, technically Benny, and Josiah from In Faith and Misery. as soon as I listen to Rotten Faith, which will most likely be right after I conclude recording, as it's nighttime already.
Block us and not drop this video, and you're just gonna be like, "Fuck this band."
No, not at all. No, you guys have been really fun to talk with. No, all the conversations I hold sacred. Dude, I can go as far as saying that, like, even with sessions where one side of the conversation didn't record for whatever reason, which I managed to record, and we're actually, tomorrow we will have all 3 Spotify bits and pieces uploaded for the, the Dark Verse Syndicate Crosscast, where the first hour, thank goodness, and not the whole 3. Like I said last time, I ended up talking like this the entire time. That was really fun to do, and that will continue our networking in South Africa. But dude, other than that, we've lost like four or five different sessions over the course of the last year and a half. And I'm like, dude, that's the blunder. That's the blunder, is when like we sit down, record, sit down for potentially 3 to 4 hours, and then it's just can't even use it. I'm like, dude, what? But it's what it is. It's what it is. So, with that being said, everyone, that is the end. We'll see you later. Bye.